First Smoke family, we got a big one cooking today. We got Mean Gene and Biovortex on. 3 years in the making for this one. So man, it's time right now. Get the grinder out, get the weed out, get the hash out, because roll up. This is a big one. We got a long pod. We go into genetics. We talk about the lime line. What have you smoked that actually reminded you of lime? Man, we get into it today. If you haven't been on fsotd.com, get on there. We have all of our sponsors. We connect you with, we get you discounts because you're First Smoke family. You're family, but let's get into it. This one's years in the making.
You don't need to force it and you don't need to fake it.
So Low Lab out in Kashmir, it's 7,000 feet up, totally isolated. It's a place where like cannabis has been growing.
That is one spot where it seems like there's very little interaction with people, but it was the right genetics in the right place to survive on its own.
I call them like the wolves compared to dogs in a way. They don't need people, they don't need any of that. I want all the seeds to put off, have a legacy of some kind of positive thing.
Man, we're kicking this thing off, First Smoke family. And this is years in the making. I mean, literally years in the making to get these two gentlemen on the podcast. I think me and Gene have been talking for like 2 years in DM. I probably have message after message about being like, man, you got to come down. We got to have this conversation. We got Biovortex and we got Mean Gene Mendocino on the pod today. Welcome to First Smoke, guys.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Great to be here.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks.
When we started this pod, you were one of the first names I thought in my mind because of what you're up to, Gene, is different than a lot of other breeders. When we talk about the lime, we talk about the root beer, we talk about some of the genetic things you're going through. I don't see any other breeders really chasing the root beer terp. The lime terp even is a rare one. Biovortex, bro, I picked your seeds up. I think it was like the second Emerald Cup ever or something. And
at the fairgrounds in Santa Rosa.
So that's what it was.
It had been going years before that, but at different locations up in Mendocino.
Yeah. And so OG with breeding and again, very special line, very different from other people's projects. I knew it as Black Dog, but man, it's just so nice to have you guys on here and be able to talk genetics, flower, and what you guys have kind of dedicated your lives to, obviously.
Yeah.
Gene, for you, what's the run like? Was it, hey, I want to do weed or I want to be an artist? Like, what was the come up for you? What got you into cannabis? And then obviously we know you've dedicated you're a lifer.
Yeah. The real hook for me that really pulled me in was when I started seeing that you could make things genetically. You could make crosses. You could make new things happen with things that already existed and find things and make them go that direction. And that was like what made me really get the enthusiasm for it. I had a friend who was doing a little bit of it. He shared seeds with me. Him and his dad shared seeds with me. And as soon as I was like, wait, what? So you can take that. It's the classic stoner shit where you're like, we could take this and we could put it with that. And everybody knows it's so relatable, right? Because if you've seen this thing, you're like, I could take this and put it with that. And then I would maybe get this. And then you try it and you're like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I think the fact that sometimes it doesn't almost makes it more exciting. Like it's
funny.
It's like, someone who's addicted to a slot machine. Will the combo line up? Will I get it? And then it works and you're like, oh, and it's just enough to keep you, and that was really what just sucked me in and kept me enthusiastic about stuff. And even now when things are different, everybody knows things are different than they used to be. That really keeps me like in a place where I'm not going to get bored because we were talking about going like to Costa Rica and, I was like, yeah, you go there and you're like, oh, I want to live here. But I'll get somewhere away from where I can grow and plant seeds for about 3 weeks, maybe a month. like, oh man, spring, like, cause it's always the winter trips, you know? And I'll be like, oh, but spring's coming. Like, I'm like, would I want to stay here? Or would I want to go home and pop seeds and try to make more stuff, you know? And it's like, that's what really sucks me in and keeps me there, you know?
I'd like to ask, what was the first cross you made that you thought, oh my God, like someone's got to see this? Like you just felt like you hit gold somewhere. You're like, this worked. I found something.
So, I mean, the first one was an accidental one. We had this Northern Lights that was an old Northern Lights. And it was like, you know, something that my mom popped from seed at the end of the 80s, right? And we were growing it. And every once in a while, like back then, you would have like generator scenes that would be running on diesel. And if something goes wrong with the generator, your lights are out, you know, just like the power going off. And you're less likely to have a good backup because you've already put everything into just having a generator in the first place. And so we had this little setup where there was cool stuff growing in there. And some of the seeds that my buddy shared with me that I mentioned before, my buddy Chad, OG Foundation Farms on IG, fucking one of my oldest friends, like gave me the first stuff. He gave me these seeds and he had made them himself. And they were the first time I'd seen somebody like make a cross with my own eyes. And it was something called dirt crossed with something called Big Bud. And he gave me some of these seeds and I grew them and we had a couple clones and the Northern Lights seeded one of those. And then we were like, well, we might as well see like we found a couple seeds and we grew them. And I was like everything good about the one with everything good about the other. And it was just like, you know, like this incredible stuff. And the colors were different and the shapes were different. And one of them got these big baseballs, look like popcorn balls, you know what I mean? Just no hairs, no leaf. And one of them was narrow and purple, just gack. And that was like the first time when I was like, okay. And then with that, like still like Grape Soda Skunk, Cherry West, they have that in there way back, you know? So it's still the very first stuff, even that happened accidentally. Like that Dirt Big Bud seed was popped like 93, 94 probably. And then the clones were around and then probably 97. The accidental cross. And then with those, then I bred that with White Widow that we got like 96, still like the best stuff ever. And then that made like a little thing where that big crazy poly hybrid was like the first thing that I really grew a lot of, you know, all over the place and shared a lot. And that was really cool. And back then I just called that cross or red cross because it got like red stems and it was like in the medical days. So like, oh, Red Cross, you know? And
Man,
so that was
cool.
like the thing. And then a lot of derivatives of the Northern Lights, other derivatives of like I have one called Pina that has the Dirt Big Bud in it from later, you know? And
dude, that's so crazy. And it's so cool that your career, it like not ping pongs, but it like the genetics bounce through the generations. Like you're like, oh, well, that has that in it from the 90s, then went to White Widow, that because most people don't have that legacy. So that's not even something you hear a lot, Gene, is like, hey, yeah, actually that has the strain from the 90s in it. That has it from the late 90s, the 2000s, the early 2000s. And you're going, oh, wow, it's almost like watching an asteroid hit different things as it goes through its path.
yeah.
Biovortex for you, when was that spark lit where you were like, because it's funny, some people, bro, have an idea and they let it pass like wind, like smoke in the wind. Some people have an idea and their whole life now is dedicated to that one idea. That's it. Oh, no, that was the idea. What was it for you? Something that really sparked that journey?
You said it like in the beginning too, you were asking like, was it art? And for me, yeah, it's art. I've always like, since I could pick up a pencil, it's just drawing and coming up with concepts in any kind of form that I can do that in. And I loved weed from the time I was in junior high and always had really good herb around me and always like had really good connections with awesome people and both with the Bay and the Santa Cruz Hills and all of that. Like the herb was really good when I was a teenager and I would always put them away. And if I found a seed, it was like, oh, that's a treasure. And like, so I ended up like popping a bunch, giving them different goddess names. And then the like males really interest me and like being able to make something new with stuff that you really loved. And then that like paying attention of something and having it be like a long-term connection and like learning from a plant and all the kind of ways that it grows, but also reproduces. And I find a lot of people grow like just clones and don't even know the male aspect of it or creating something new. And it's like, I don't want to just do the same thing that other people are doing. I'm always wanting to make something that like just me being there, my spirit interacting with the universe and plants and just all of that, like something new that can come. And then like the way that connects you with all the different people and all the ways that you can learn and have like a art project with everyone that grows the seeds. It's like this giant art project with dogs running through it, and then connecting to amazing people like this. That I always want to be around people that I can grow from. So like growing with the herb, but also growing with community of like-minded people who pay attention over long periods of time. Like Jackson is so good at just smelling everything and having that go to history and just thinking about something. And that's something that resonates with me, and being able to have those super nerdy conversations that also go deep into other things, not just growing weed, but like it goes into dreams, it goes into art, it goes into connection to nature and always growing something new.
A way to live your life, almost like a mantra, you know? Can I ask you guys, how important was mentorship in your life in this career path? Did you guys have someone who was like, because I found with guys that you guys are so strong forced in the breeder and grower aspect that some guys grow their whole lives, never get into breeding. So, and I just feel like you guys took this path. Did you have mentors that played a big role in that?
Yeah, I mean, more through osmosis of being around people and seeing what they were doing. It was such a weird, like back in the day, things were so different that you weren't really comfortable with being like, hey, tell me, you knew everything. Like you knew IP before you knew what IP was. It was like, I know this is, you like know from just instinct that this is somebody's IP. Like, I don't really want to but so if you're around, you try to be around and you try to soak up like what's happening and what's going on over here. And then, honestly, sometimes it comes in weird ways too. Like I see you got a cool stash of books over there. Like my same buddy I was telling you about, his dad had marijuana botany sitting in the kitchen table, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. I haven't seen this book. And he goes, I got to go do some chores right now. Go ahead and sit here and read that. And I was like, just like kind of hanging around like in the neighborhood. And I went down there to hang out, and he's kind of like, I'm busy, but like, here's a book, and I sat there and I started, and man, I read that book like a lot of times. And so that's one of the things, that book is like the basis of like knowledge to where I read it. And I thought, yeah, I read it. I understand it.
Rob Clark.
Rob Clark. And then after years and years, you do all this stuff and you go back and you read it again and you go, oh, I couldn't even, this went in one ear and out the other because I couldn't even track what it was saying because I hadn't experienced it. And then when I went through, then it's like, oh, now it gives you this new layer of knowledge where then that sticks, and so like that's been a big book for me and a big influence. And so by proxy also, like who handed me the book, like my boy Chad, he was always super into like the details. His dad, Steve, super cool dude, he was into the details, and his uncle, and there was these certain people who they were like, there was these finer points, which is what Clark was into, going around and talking to people who understood the finer points. And so when I saw that, I was like, whoa, okay. So this, the more layers there are to something, the more it's like, it doesn't wear out on you. It's like music, or like, all of us, we really like music and food and weed and certain things because you don't ever hit a wall. And it's like he was saying, like, if you grow the clone after a while, you hit the wall with that clone. You kind of do. And then it becomes something that, yeah, you might not want to lose it because you're in love with it. It's there, but you kind of hit a wall with that. But with always going to new layers and learning new stuff, it's like you see now with the people, the Clark book, the hashish book. Like I had a buddy who was like, I think told me about it if I remember right, but he used to sit with me and we would just look through it and, oh, did you notice this? Did you see that? And then you start to realize like, all right, there's all this stuff that's just related to the resin traits. And we had kind of noticed that early out. There's weed where it's like, oh, it's frosty, but there's nothing in it. And so you're like, so it's not just how much resin, it's like what kind of resin. And then there'd be some stuff that's not that resinous. And then you're like, whatever that resin is, it's full of everything we want. And then you start to look at it from a breeding perspective and be like, okay, put it together. But it's all those little things along the way, like, not so much. I mean, like I had a couple partners that I worked with who taught me a lot of stuff, and that, you know, you can consider that like a mentorship in a sense. But as far as like real specific, not so much. It's just kind of odds and ends you pick up from everybody, and then you talk, and you know, that's one cool thing about weed is people smoke weed, you sit around, and a lot of times you'll have more of a conversational aspect to stuff where a lot of people do a lot of disciplines that they don't lend themselves to that. But weed really lends itself to that because you sit around and you're like, oh, well, I got this is in it. You get into the details and it's just, man, it's endless, you know? So that's really, you know, where I picked up everything was just a little bit and a little bit from a lot of people. But I mean, like a lot of people who deserve a ton of credit for everything they put in. And then like Rob Clark, I said, like he made this available where you could really see it, build on that, discuss it with your friends, inject new stuff into that wouldn't have normally come around. Cause you know how it is. Rosin shows up now. Everybody knows about rosin, water hash, you know, everybody knows about, we got shown how to put stuff on a silk screen and make like really good full melt on a silk screen back in the day and then like press it. You know, this dude showed us like, oh, you in the early 90s, you can press it like this. You wrap it in plastic and then moist newspaper and then foil and then heat it up and then you roll it with the rolling pin, you know, and you're like, ooh, now we got slabs of black, sticky, shiny hash like we see in the old pictures, you know, like, all right. And it, you know, that stuff just little by little,
So
special
by
people,
osmosis,
you know,
almost like through your journey, taking bits and pieces along the way. And it's so interesting you mentioned that because I find with guys who haven't had like, oh yeah, my dad was a grower or my best friend, it's always books or forums or by osmosis of, and you know what? I think that sometimes that hurdle, you had to make that choice. It wasn't just like, oh, well, it's just sitting out and I'm just going to do this because my best friend had to grow and he just needed help. And you had to seek it out. You had to jump hurdles to get the knowledge. You had to, that builds that diamond, in my opinion, like, oh, I'm a lifer and I do this a little different and my journey's a little different than all. It built you up to be who you are and why you took the path you did. And you weren't just like, yeah, I run a greenhouse and I don't know, you know?
Yeah, it's just a business. You're not that much attachment to it.
And now it's wine because this shit's down and that shit's up, you know? And what about you? Was it similar? Was it books or was it someone specifically who was that catalyst of like, listen, here's something different for your life? We're here, we made it. The mecca of packaging, Slap Hub Los Angeles. First Smoke family, no matter what your demands and needs are, custom bags, designs, branding, logo, marketing, 3D imagery. Doesn't matter if it's jars or bags, they design everything in-house and produce it right here in Los Angeles. I'm right here on the cutting room floor of Slap Hub LA where your vision becomes reality. Whether it's custom Mylars, themed packaging, doesn't matter. They've always had me and Pack Gods covered, so they got you covered. Your First Smoke family. So use the code FSOTD and get hooked up. Right here in LA, they're designing the best packaging you've seen around the world. This is where we go. This is where you should go. FSOTD is the code to get you hooked up. Slap Hub to LA.
Yeah. Well, like Jackson growing up in Mendocino, like having that kind of culture.
Well, I was going to say,
around the osmosis is heavy there. I'm just going to point that out. Like,
that was there.
He's young, observing
had,
plants grown by people who've been doing it. It's strong culture and the amount of varieties and breeding that are already happening there that connect you to that history. Although, like where I grew up, like Santa Cruz Hills, like definitely like with my parents, none going on at that time or something like, except for maybe like. Monday Night Footballs, like the roommate would like go and everyone would be smoking joints and stuff. And I remember as a kid, like loving that, just like everyone's so happy when they talk like this, when they're holding in the joint, it's like, oh, hey, oh yeah, you know, handing the fucking joint over.
You never
like,
hear that
everyone's
no more, man.
so nice. Yeah, no, nobody holds it in anymore. It's like, you don't have to hold it in,
made.
but I guess when it's like a little more
my dad still does. And I'm like, you don't got to hold it in. We got 5 of them.
Yeah,
you're going to pass out.
You can take another one. It's okay.
You will get higher though. I'll tell you what, for some reason, one really good hit overdone is like sometimes more than just puffing on it.
But yeah, honestly, like not really so much a mentor. I like the osmosis like concept because I just really resonated with cannabis from an early age and was just fully gun ho on it. Like I'm doing this, and there wasn't like, doesn't matter if anyone's there to show me or not, I'm going to figure it out. But then you end up like connecting with different people and learning their specialty. And even though like I just kind of like went for it super hard, and that's just what I was doing no matter what. And you end up like gathering information by being around certain people. And then even as I got older, like it ended up being a lot of younger people that I'd even say are more of the mentors at a certain point. Cause like I've been growing for quite some time and have made plenty of hash, but then you meet like a young, like back in like 2014, 13, when hash is still like kind of normal bubble hash and stuff, but meeting like someone younger, like Simply Adam, who's got like an amazing mind for hash, super kind of savant focus on having trichomes perfectly clean. I remember like we had beautiful Banana OG and, I think some Holy Nana crack that I had bred too, and like this, and actually some Girl Scout cookie trim that was just like perfect sugar leaf, like each little bit. And it was this like super permaculture coastal garden that it was grown at. And he washed it and it was like, it wasn't even fresh frozen or anything, but it was the cleanest, most amazing, perfect hash that like he made from it. Like, and it was just like, oh, wow. Like it just changed. It was like, it can be this clean and this good. And the flavor of like not having anything, but just truly experiencing those trichomes, even dried. And so the next year I was just like, we are doing this. We are focusing on this. You are now like a part of this. You're a partner in this, and we're going to grow. Like I wanted him there to like build the hugelkultur depths and to like, you start doing the composting and like think about every little spot that might bring a contaminant too. So like we start rocking different spots. We're making sure to have cover crop everywhere and making sure there's no dust anywhere. Like having him just go crazy cleaning the tarp so there's not a speck of dust that comes off, like no spray, and just thinking about like the end product of the most perfect trichome. And like, let's start that from the very beginning, from the first seeds and the clone selections, how we're laying everything out, that like these trichomes will be like untouched, perfect, and like unstressed too. And because it was coastal, the temperatures don't get that hot, but it was a microclimate that was like really conducive for just perfect trichomes, especially if you depth right at the peak season. And so we just did that, and the hash was phenomenal. You probably came to the Emerald Cup table that time when we like launched a bunch of that fresh frozen, and it was just like, some of it was just so wildly exceptional. One of them was the Athena Sour Kush, which goes back to some of the first stuff I ever kind of selected back when I was like 18, that ended up being bred with Bubba Kush and some Sour Bubble at some point, and like different Skywalker crosses, and like turned into like this really amazing plant, and made this one selection that was early on, like one of the few things that was over 30% THC at the time. And like, but like when he washed that, it was just so clean, and we melted it, and it was like, there wasn't any residue. It melted like better than like BHO or something. And I remember just seeing that. I was like, sorry, hydrocarbons, like if 2014, like we can do this with perfectly organic separated trichomes and no solvents, no lab, small scale artistry. And like, but we're also like harvesting at the plant, like at the right time of day, making sure it's dry, it's cold, and it goes into the freezer as fast as possible. And every little step is like perfect. And we started rating it like 10, out of a 10. And Adam's very honest and about his criticisms. But that one Athena Sour Kush was the only one that ever got a 10 out of a 10. Like it actually, because there wasn't residuals like left. Like we had some amazing 9.5s, but that table at the Emerald Cup, like because people hadn't seen melt quite like that at that time. Like, so there's a few people doing it for sure. Like Village and Matt Rise and stuff like that.
You're talking about outdoor.
This is outdoor. Yeah, no, those were indoor. So like to
crazy.
have it be that clean and outdoor, I felt like it was something new at that moment, just like his artistry towards that. And so I was just trying to learn all I can about the trichomes, and that led me into breeding and understanding kind of the qualities of them a bit better. And so I can focus on making selections based off of having this like kind of more intricate knowledge from somebody that's their specialty. I have other specialties, but I get to, from osmosis, like be around some of the best. And I had that like also with Dab Logic, with then like the next Sam, like amazing, brilliant guy, Julian, and having them have a whole lab to be able to like, because like we're doing the artistry, like small, everything's clean and perfect, you know, but it's like a chef in their kitchen versus like this full kind of lab to just go at it, and got to learn so much from there, and to get all of the terpene analysis is coming back and having like it actually like connected to selections, and then making something like, I have like the OG Mob 437. We made that selection out of like being able to grow hundreds of plants, washing each one separately, and be like, okay, these ones are all over 7%. This one's 8.3%, has like wide array of different terpenes. This one shows off a little bit more of like a, a little more funk, or a little more gas, a little more banana, or that like berry black dog, and just like be able to identify, write all those things down, have the spreadsheet, and choose the ones I ended up wanting to breed with. That 437 ended up like just really staying with me as like having some of the perfect trichome qualities, but which I'm learning from like long ago with like Adam, and just seeing that perfect sandy, the like tackiness, and just seeing how it falls off the plant, how weak the necks are, all those like really fine details, and then getting the whole lab to like learn that kind of stuff. Another person I would say, like you mentioned Rob Clark, but I have to give it up to Razin, Deepak, one of the most I think amazing people in cannabis. But wearing his shirt right now. I should actually take that shit off. But Indian Landrace Seed Exchange and Full Power Selections. His like detail and like going on these journeys where he's just really connected with the farmers and gives back in all kinds of ways, and gets to go to all these different places in like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Kush regions. We get to have like all over India, like, and all of the like geographical information with it, with the cultural information and specific like environmental information, altitude, and I'll get the seeds with the exact geolocation, with the information and all of that. And he'll think about different ones for me and share it. And then he's been putting out all these books from these different regions that he goes to. And some of them he's touring it right before things change, and it might not be the same situation with the way politics or economics is going down at that time. And he's just releasing another one right now, and that should check out too. But
the big book, he's doing the big book
yeah.
now.
And where can people find, if people are interested in hearing that, where can people find him though? Is it Landrace Mafia? What is it?
Well, there's the Indian Landrace Seed Exchange, but Full Power Selections and Erazin on Instagram.
Okay, because people are going to be interested. And for everyone listening, that's what passion sounds like. That's what finding something in life that is an onion you can peel year after year, and you can go on a life's journey, right? Like everyone's seen the films, everyone listening seen the films where people spend their life making sushi, right? We've all seen that one. But like you guys have chosen a path where like this onion can be peeled for your entire life and it never gets old. It never is the same thing. And that's, I just want to explain, because people are like, holy shit. What you're explaining, your life and everything you're talking about is just passion. And that's passion for what you do and passion for life. Like I found this thing that fulfills me. And so I love that for you, bro. And I love hearing that, because so many people are going to get put on because of that, because it's fueling your fire. So many other people are trying to find that for themselves right now in this industry, because it isn't what it was when we got in. So what is it for older guys that are starting to get into their, let's say, late 30s into their late 50s? That 2-generation spot of like, well, they kind of started what we know as indoor today and all this stuff. And the old farmers who were doing outdoor, like what is it for them now going forward? So what are you guys seeing boots on the ground? Like what's happening in the game? What's changing? Like, because man, you guys have seen both sides, and you kind of are seeing both sides.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It gets kind of downplayed, I think, how important really everything was to like the greater economy. Everyone's like, oh, well, there's people who, everybody wanted to make money. Now they don't make money, and now they don't. It's like, it kind of was like a whole like big important part of the mechanics of everything in California, which influences everything everywhere. And that's changed a lot. And so, people who are interested in it now, you got to be interested in the plant. So it's kind of cool now. If you do go to like any of the weed events, the people who are there, like, you know why they're there. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you're a nerd. You're a geek. All right. Like, that's why you're here, because this is what you really are into. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, because it's like when there's something where it's a gold rush, it's like, oh, there's people out there who really, really love gold. Like, even if it wasn't worth money, they'd be like, look at this crystal gold right here. Look at it. And then there's people who are like, damn, I just wanted to get rich. And, then you got what I grew up around was a whole lot of people who, people will say that they were greedy now, but you look at it and you go, well, if they were so greedy, then why were they always just trying to just have enough? Because there was a lot of people who had things going where they could have just blown it up and gone crazy and really made tons of money. And they still were like, that's all right. I'm going to just have my little bit of weed and this helps me out. And it's that thing. And I think that's the biggest group of people who were, involved in the weed economy. It was a lot of little people, which is I think that's how society functions the best, is when everybody has their little thing and it's all good and it's free. And it's like, they're all doing their thing. And, everything has gone to the point where now it gets controlled by fewer and fewer groups and people and all that. And, that's what we're seeing. But, what's really cool about the whole thing is you do have people like Deepak that, like, if people look them up, it's like, I hear from a lot of people all the time that are like, yeah, there's no real land race left. Everything's polluted. And it's like, yeah, but when you have a guy who goes into these places where no one else will go, it's like, sure, you might have gone and checked on the little tourist market and asked your boy, but like, no, this guy goes for weeks and months into places where people are like, I don't even want to go there because of the geography and because of the, whatever, like, reputation of the places. But like, people don't understand, like, there's all these places in Pakistan,
like
Afghanistan,
so like
all over that are incredible.
This
and
is
he goes there,
polluting his genetics, though. But I'm just
love
kidding.
to hear
But
he uses it as a building
so
block.
Low Lab out in Kashmir, it's like 7,000 feet up, totally isolated. It's a place where like cannabis has been growing out in the mountain in the fields. It's like sheep and mountain goats will eat the seeds and spread them, but they also kind of almost spread with wind. And like they've been growing in this same place without human interference. And so it's like they're very true to that location variety, a true wild primordial.
Possibly one of the only populations that are actually like, what people think of as landrace, like that, or wild. It's like that is one spot where it seems like there's very little interaction with people, but it was the right genetics in the right place to survive on its own. So it's like the most kind of untouched in a sense.
I call them like the wolves, like compared to dogs in a way, like, cause it's just like these ones survive out there on their own. They don't need people. They don't need any of that, where dogs have made that evolutionary jump to evolve with people. That's what a dog is like that mutualistic relationship and evolution. And cannabis did that too, but these wild ones haven't too. So they're like, but what I noticed too is that they produce amazing trichomes, put out like wild aromas. There's definitely like lemon incense, cannabinoids, and it's like, wow, they've been doing that for like a long time. And so all this potential is just waiting there immediately, and is already realized in different ways. But the seeds are also like wildly small. They're like probably the smallest cannabis seeds I've ever seen. Just like
very interesting.
A tenth of a good size like cannabis seed. Like,
and would you say this is a heavy sativa, or what? And you said
I wouldn't call it
India?
heavy at all. So it's like it's a lot of different. It's smaller bracts, all like kind of going around a smaller stem and just completely covered in trichomes. And
What
it's
region?
Very petite.
Yeah.
What region was it from originally?
It's Kashmir, yeah.
Kashmir.
Yeah, but it's the
Wow.
Low Lab Valley in Kashmir, which is specifically a little more isolated too and up high. And because of the snow too, I think that the seeds, when I tried to crack them, it took a long time to germinate. And like they were slow. They wanted to like trust that it would be warm enough, I think, or that like it was the right time, and might even have like know what time of year it is too. Cause I noticed that they did really well when I cracked them, like just throwing them out like in the spring versus trying to germinate them earlier, they're like, no, we're not trusting it, like heating pad or whatever. And it's like 2 weeks later, like, what's going on? And like some would. And I think that's like, well, if you're under the snow and it's cold, like if they germinated as soon as they came out of the plant, then they would die in the winter. And so they're adapted to a certain place. And I think they're thinking about all that kind of stuff. And they're so small that actually, if you touch the plant, when it's like fully matured, that the seeds will fly out of it. They actually, or like wind hits it, they like jump. And so even if I'm harvesting seeds, I put a bag completely around it and like cut it so they don't all just like fall onto the ground. But it's the first plant that actually I've even in my coastal spot in my backyard that I've actually seen come back wild on its own. No other, as much seeds as I've bred in the back and stuff, no other, like you'll get a germination, but a banana slug will eat it or something will happen. It won't make it. But the low lab, I actually had wild plants come up on their own, which was just such a cool thing to see. And I remember the first year I grew some like right in, next to some of the depths, and I set up a game cam and had to go at night, like taking pictures every 20 minutes, but also with like the night vision. And the plants, as soon as it would get cold, they would all just like, they'd go from being like this and like they would just go down and get really, really like small and just conserve all of their like heat and like just not have anything exposed and look like completely shriveled up sticks almost. But then while it was still dark, like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, start to like wake up, and then it would perfectly just line itself up for where the sun would be, full on displayed
Pre-sun.
like solar panels, way pre-sun, like an hour before it's setting up. And it was like, they would do this dance every day, and it was almost like breathing too. And I'd like watch it all fast. And it was just like a cool plant to observe and learn from. But I did cross like both the cherry lime dog that has Jackson's cherry limeade in it too. The HES, cherry lime pop. Sorry, with the that was like that he gave me back in 2016. I crossed with Black Dog, and those came out really good. We have some of those flowers here too, but it's really pretty. It's fast. It chunks up and like extremely terpy. So I thought it would be pretty fun to like put all our stuff together in the low lab. And then I did a second generation, and like the first generation was already like so much more substantial flower, and it was really cool combo, but still kind of a wild plant, but really tasty and interesting. And so I did another generation of that too. And, but did a bunch of cool things like that.
Do you think that that's the key to, because you got breeding now for a while. Obviously, how long you been breeding, Jackson? Cultivators, under canopy lighting is changing the game. And with that, Faven Under Canopy Lighting. They're one of our premier sponsors, and it's a brand we truly believe in. If you want to check out favenlighting.com, you can get all the answers to what under canopy is and is how it's changing the game. And guess what? You're family, so we hook you up. The code is FSOTD, and you get hooked up with Faven Lighting. They put together a full layout of how you would set your facility or grow room up using their under canopy lighting. Whether you're using CMH, double-ended, fluorescents, LEDs, it doesn't matter. Faven Lighting has you covered. Go to favenlighting.com, use the code FSOTD, get hooked up, and change your grow game. Come on, cultivators.
I mean, I've been making seeds since 97. But
is the key to dip back into these Thai, these Indian? Is it to dip? Because some of the Thai I had was like
it's a good tool, you know. It's a good tool. Like everybody can breed to whatever goals they have. So some people might want to breed for some trait that you wouldn't even think is valuable. I really like the flavors of weed and plants that are like fun to grow. Like, to sum up what I try to do when people ask, I usually say I want to have plants that are fun to grow, and then they're fun to have the weed. Like, you want to have the plant and you want to have the weed for whatever reason. And sometimes that might mean that they're good for this or they're good for that or whatever. But if you're really trying to get somewhere, you want to have like the whole toolkit to be able to do everything. So the more things exist, the more chances. And that's like a general plant breeding thing. That's not just a cannabis thing. That's like, you know, there's a huge collection of different wheat that the government, you know, the American government has like a collection of wheat that's like thousands of types of wheat. But it's crazy because when they go to make something that's in their goals, any breeders who come and pull from these, it's like there's still only ever so many that are useful for your goal. But a different one might be really useful for someone else. So if you want to, if you want to like make, you have something and it's your favorite weed ever, but you're like, I just really need to boost the potency. You might want something that like when you breed it with other things, it has like the potency will really come across, but it won't change the flavor. You're like, I love the taste of this, but it's not hitting. So then you put it with this other thing. And if you have the different, or you might love something, the flavor, but it's not the right effect. So maybe you do want to try to find like a tie, but you're also going to want to have as many different ties as you could ever find. And maybe you don't have to have them, but at least if you have the information on where to find them, all that, that's the cool thing about the whole network. And that's what, your initial question was about, like, where are things going? It's like, that's been something that's really cool, is that people can actually now look and go, oh, you have something like that. And you have something like that. And then you can draw from all of that. And for plant breeding, that's really important. And like the whole, everything that's done with weed is based on the plant. And the plant, that's something I was saying to him a while back, is that like plants and things that have genetics, whether they're, microorganisms or they're big trees or animals or whatever, they're one of the real few things that are on the earth that for humans have intrinsic value, where it's like, this is valuable in and of itself, whether we say so or not. Gold, all the things that people chase that are like, valuable. A lot of them, we agree they're valuable, or we look and we go, oh, well, these people think this is valuable, so this is valuable. And that happens with the product, with the weed. But the actual, like, all the different genetics being available, that's valuable even if people don't exist. It's like, that's life. It's there. So like the whole genetic, like, the whole world of genetics is this thing that once you understand it, it's like, you're like, oh, wow. So I get to play with like, what's the most valuable thing? So check this out. I don't like to pull out my phone, but I'm gonna. And I just kept this thing. It's today's Martin Luther King Day, right? Mm-hmm. Here's a quote that I just saw. It says, for in the true nature of things, if we rightly consider, every green tree is far more glorious than if it were made of gold and silver. So that's the same concept of intrinsic value in, you look, it's like, sometimes you'll see, it's like somebody like they go take out this crazy, you go chop down, you're like, that tree that we were looking at different plants. I'm like, there's these specimens, you see these things like in people's landscaping and shit. And people are like, I don't really like that. So I cut it down and I replaced it with some grass or whatever. And you're like, that was like a 80-year-old specimen of a really cool plant. Like if you would have known, you probably could have dug it up and put it in a bag and sold that thing for like 80 grand or something. But people don't understand the value of plants and everything. So I think like the future of the plant is people, I think, understanding the plant more beyond being a product, because then you can really relate to it and you can understand it, because otherwise it's like, it's a fucking beer can. It's a fucking cigarette butt. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just, that's not what it is. And if you can relate with things in that way, it's super helpful. And I mean, everything's like that. Like he was saying, you want to have something that you can really, like relate to and keep doing. And it's like, everybody wants that, like surfers want to surf, chefs want to cook, like weed heads want to do weed shit, Yeah. So you got, but having all that stuff, I think that's really the future. And it's cool because, we're at a time when people, I think are going to be led in that path more, because if you don't make all the money off the product, then everything doesn't just get put in that little box of being like, well, what's this worth? And that's still like I never knock that at all. Like I want to see people make a product and have it be big and all that, but it's never going to be the real roots of cannabis stuff. It's always going to be like, you're always going to need the clones and the seeds and the people who collect things and the people who keep things, because we've all seen it come and go and get ruined and come back. And it's all a miracle like that, but I think that it's all just about, the finer aspects of what the genetics are. It's just gonna, I see that blossoming all the time, where it's like, it seems like there's some trajectory toward that, maybe like newer people who get into weed stuff, maybe they'll understand that better than previous weed people who thought it was, how fast does it finish? How much bud do I get? What can I sell it for?
Ooh,
You know
that's
what
a
I mean?
great point.
Because that no longer is like that's no longer the engine on the car anymore. You know, like you kind of have to have interest. You didn't used to have to be interested at all, dude. Like, what you want to be interested? This is you're telling me this is $6,000 for a pound like this, and I can grow this shit like in my club. Oh, I become interested really quick, right? But if you tell somebody, hey, you know, it smells like this is the effect, those people have to be interested in it, like for real. And so I think there'll be a little bit of a shift there, and it'll always be hand in hand, go back and forth. But
First Smoke family, no matter the guest, you know we're rocking Raw and Elements papers. Whether it's the Elements king size wide, the raw fatties without the crease, so you still get the king size wide, but with unbleached and uncreased. Something we've been loving on the show is the raw king size blacks, and when we're lighting up, the Phoenix. This is awesome. Flintless residue, windscreen with a poker. No matter what products you like from Raw, you can check out genuineraw.com, and that gets you to all their affiliate links to purchase these products direct from them to make sure they're raw authentic. Genuineraw.com, First Smoke of the Day sent you.
Man, that's such a great point. I always tell, I'll joke with investors, or like I'll be sitting down with someone and I'll always tell them, like, you know, there's only two different types of growers. Rarely do they cross over. And you can tell within the first 5 minutes of talking to them. And they're going to tell you either about, so we got 5-ton ACs per room. We did 480. We built this place out, the DPS panels and all the electricals. Or they're going to start by saying, man, these genetics, so we're growing the dirty Sprite strain. And we get, this room's all Skittles. This is a ZBX3. We're hunting this new pheno, a black sapphire. And it's one or the other. And rarely, and I'm not saying it's never, I'm saying rarely is it both. Rarely is it the guy who's like, yeah, I'll do, but also these are all, and you can tell which passion, whether, and it's a meter, right? It goes 100% this way and 100% that way. And usually people are
all somewhere in there. Yeah.
And it's very interesting of what you're talking about, because it is that. And I can usually meet a grower, and within the first 15 minutes, I go, okay, he's like, I know what he feeds off of. It's the numbers, 1.7 a light times 3, and now we got under canopy, and now we're, or it's like, dude, I'm going down this path with GMO, and I'm going to bring the Z out of the Z, and so it's just a really cool, with where you guys are going and what you've seen in the industry from where you guys started breeding and started growing. Everyone has like the doomsday, like, fuck, the industry's closing out, genetics are closing out. What is you guys' thoughts on all that?
I mean, you know, not to sound crazy or anything, but like, I always think everything's fucked. You know what I mean? I've always, you know what I mean? Like I'm like very comfortable living in sheer terror my entire life. If you can understand that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, the shit's gonna hit the fan. Like, yeah, the shit's gonna hit the fan. Like, I hate to warn all you guys, but all you guys are gonna die. You're all gonna die. I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? You're gonna die. So I'm just like, dude, just try to like go from this thing to that thing to this thing, and we're gonna see how it works out. And I've just been like, I've had that perspective for so long that I'm just like, kind of like, it's like, yeah, are you like panicked? And it's like, yeah, but not like temporarily. Like, it's just like a state, you know, that's my secret, Cap. I'm always panicked, you know, but not really, you know. So it's right. Just like, it's just this thing of always this, I try to keep it even, you know, I try to keep it like, all right, I don't want to have like I don't want to have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows and the fucking chewy centers and shit, you know, just.
I've heard you talk about that too. It's just like, you'll be thinking about how fucked everything is, but then like, wasn't it really fucked just like a couple years ago? And I didn't know how it was all going to work, but it did work. And like, hey, dude, it was fucked. It is fucked. It's going to be fucked. But
you were broke last year, bro. Remember? Like,
did not know how to pay that shit.
You remember September before harvest when shit was coming in, or, you know, the days before depths, and you're like, oh man, I wish I had a gram of weed, but it's all gone. And then it's like, you know, hey, the weed's back. And I don't know. And I try to tell people too, like everybody wants to make it. You want to get to that thing. And it's like, if you've had any kind of achievements, like, you know, that like the achievement is like, that's cool. I heard a guy one time say something cool. He's like, no, I don't like to have goals because, you know, like I just want to have objectives and I want to meet my objectives. And then the goal that can be just that'll figure itself out, because what happens is it was like a pro athlete, and I wish I could remember who it was, but somebody will know. And he was basically like, yeah, I set a goal. Like if you set a goal and you're like, all right, by this year, I'm going to be on this team and I'm going to do this. And that's my goal. And I'm going to put everything towards it. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And you're like, damn, okay. But he goes, if I just have objectives, and my objectives are that I want to be the fastest, I want to be able to have the best cardio, I want to have the best hand-eye coordination, I want to do this, and then I want to stay healthy, and I want to, you know, I want to make sure I maintain my friendships and these things. And it's like, you do all these little things, and it's like, eventually there's going to be some kind of cool thing that's going to pop up. But if you're so focused just on that, then it's like really easy to just, you know, like, there's another old funny one, like cliche, where it's like, you can either, you know, two ways to be rich. You can either, you know, get more, or you can want less, you know? And that's not to say like, hey, don't even try, who fucking cares? But it's like, if you can stay somewhere in the middle and be like, all right, we're going to do something, you'll be good. Because if you're trying to like, all right, I'm going to make it, I'm going to hit this thing. And it's like, all right, but like if you look at people who have it made, anybody who has it made, you can look at a million stories throughout history and you're like, yeah, these guys had it made. And, you know, but then things happen. And so if you're just, as long as you're keeping it going and you can, you know, if you're, it's like some stupid bullshit, but like if you're alive and shit's happening and it ain't that bad,
Yeah,
it's pretty fucking good. As soon as things get really bad, you go, oh man, all that shit when I thought that I was kind of not doing that great, like that would have been a lot better than this. Cause we got rough shit that happens in life, you know? So for me, I don't look at it like the doom and gloom of it, but it, you know, like I said, it was a bummer to see the economy go the way it did, to see a lot of people who really were able to take care of themselves and not need anything and kind of be able to be free and all that. Like there was a lot more of that. And I feel like a lot of it has gone away. But at the same time, it's like, hey, everybody who experienced that. And that was amazing. And then it's like, now we're on to the next thing. And anybody who's able to sit there and talk about it, like if you're able to complain, shit ain't that bad. Because when shit's really bad, you don't even have it into you to complain.
So
You're just like, fuck, you know? And if you've been through enough of those things like that, you're just like, I know what that bad fucking acid trip is, and I'm not on drugs. And all of a sudden my life is like the worst fucking acid trip you could ever imagine. And it's just your own endogenous chemicals. You're like, fuck, okay. So just, you know, like they say, keep it moving. Keep it to the next fucking thing, dude. Just, you know, row your boat, you know?
Reminds me of Kenny Powers. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta keep it going, dude.
I keep thinking about the profound truth of Martin Luther King's quote that you just read.
Great
too.
quote.
The value that we put into things, like how you see a tree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and just that example is huge. Like, as far as like the environment and the issues that we're going through, and the value of clean air, of clean water, of clean earth to grow food out of, is like tremendous. The value of a tree to prevent erosion, to provide habitat, and for us to be able to breathe and live at all. Like we're all breathing because the Amazon has all these trees putting that out there and all over the world. And like, if we value things correctly, there's that book, Natural Capitalism, that kind of, it goes into actually just adding up the value of these things. And as these ecosystems fail, you'd spend any amount of trillions of dollars to make sure you had fresh air, right? Like there's no amount of value that you can add to that. And so like, that's huge. But even on the small scale, how you value the people around you, how you value human rights, how you treat animals and children and your own garden and
yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Like it's all hugely profound to put value into things and how you create something, and the value that comes out of that. Like I'm a pretty good cook and I can make an amazing meal for wildly cheap, and especially having connections with good farmers and stuff. But a few dollars, I can make masterpieces that you could not buy for any amount of money at a restaurant sometimes too. You could spend so much money and get a lesser meal than what I could do with a few dollars when I have vegetables and the base ingredients you need and rice and whatever.
It just shows like what a fulfilling life, what the ingredients are to that, right? And that a lot of times it's not money.
Yeah.
A lot, like, yes, money is one of them, and that does help a lot, but a lot of the other things are not. So if there's a checklist, only one of them on there is money. A lot of the other things have nothing to do with money.
Yeah.
And some of the best herb is also grown with the least amount of money too. Actually, the film Tending the Garden that we worked on, we also have Tasso here, who is the amazing man behind the score, incredible producer. It'd be cool to get him on for a moment to talk about that and a bunch of other things. But it showed it was 3 different farms. And you mentioned the Emerald Cup. I did one of the things at the Emerald Cup, I did that year was that you were there too, was start this thing called the Regenerative Cannabis Farm Award, where we were, the year before I was there and I just saw all of the stuff, and I just couldn't help but think about like, oh, the whole practices are left out of this. And like, how can we feature and show the amazing farmers who have the best practices in that kind of light, not just the best flower and hash and other things, but just how well do you interact with your environment? How well do you grow plants based off of like real soil, about real practices, and how do you interact with your community? How do you take care of your watershed and all of those things, and use that as use the cannabis as making it cool, and have that Trojan horse of like, here you can understand a bit more about regenerative agriculture, native wisdom, permaculture, those kinds of concepts of like where you interact with the land in a way where you're giving back. And so would pick out different farms and give them awards. And 3 of the farms that got the awards over the years, there was several, are featured in that film. Green Source Gardens was amazing. One of the best breeders out there too, because they really go, multiple generations. They have tons of like F9 plus and make true F1 hybrids, and it's all from seed and it's all in the environment. So it's breeding for place and for things. And Nick's also gotten really into hash too, so he's looking to that. And it's so cool to have like a bunch of my varieties there too over all the years since we've been friends, and seeing what they do with it, and then they give things back, and that kind of exchange. And here I have actually some from them, the man buns they named. It's my Mandarin dogs with Stayfly's breadsticks that they put together. So the breadsticks is the buns, and then like the man
Shout
for the
out
Mandarin.
Stayfly, aka original gangster.
Green Source. But also Radical Herbs and Bryceland Forest Farms, all amazing examples of food farmers too, who like build soil, interact with communities in so many awesome ways. Bryceland Forest Farms also doing like amazing studies and controlled burn work, just wildly like connected with the whole community and environment. And same with Radical Herbs, they're super connected with their community. They feed the whole community. They do the farmers markets. They feed elders. Like they are just so part of the community and just making abundance of food, while they're also growing amazing cannabis, growing incredible kids, raising animals, and just giving back to the land and community in that ways. And so I wanted to feature those farms. That movie's a year in the life of those 3 farms. And it's a way to kind of connect with that type of
Where can
farming.
they watch the movie? Where is it?
If you go tendingthegardenfilm.com, that's the website. And then it's up on Future Cannabis Project. And it's gotten like over 300,000 views so far, but it would be cool. I love the idea of people seeing it all over the world, because it's very opposite of like a Murder Mountain or something like that. It shows the community for
It's good. Yeah.
the light that it can be, and can get a lot of people who have a prohibition mind around cannabis to see how beautiful it can be when it's done with those kinds of practices and intention. And so yeah, hopefully people see it all over. And the whole soundtrack is banging. Like one of my favorite projects was also like being able to like film the beautiful families and the incredible flowers. It has incredible like cinematography showing the flowers.
That's dope.
And to tell that story, and then to have music like move that along and all of that. And
it's artistic piece.
Fun project.
We try to highlight that too. We had Steve Cantwell on. I mean, Steve out of Nevada does the same thing. He has indoor, outdoor, and they have a full-on store where you can buy all their vegetables that they grow on site. Yep. And then he's like, we also source beef too, and we have that in the store. And like, just the full picture of like, how are we living? How are we helping each other? One of the things I want to get into is we always have in our mindset, fire times fire equals fire, or fire cross to fire. People get mad. They say times because in my head it's a cross. But
It's all the same.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? I see the comments. People are like,
Are we at a botany
times.
conference here? We're smoking a joint, dude. Chill the fuck out. Let's go sit down, bro.
See, that's coming from Mean Gene, man. When you go into it, what's the thought process from both of you? I'd love to hear from both of you about, okay, we got this amazing plant that has these terps and is it always just fire times fire, or are you taking it deeper and you're saying, obviously the structure of this needs to add to this. We need Skittles not to grow like Skittles. We need this,
Yeah. So
People ask me, how do you grow it like this? How does it stay consistent? First of all, HGV produces a consistent product. If it wasn't consistent, would I have consistent flower, consistent harvest? Probably not.
It creates good consistency, high yield, and high terpene levels. It allows us to fully express the characteristics in our phenos.
I've been running HGV for a long time. Cleanest salt line that I've had.
As soon as we made the switch, the instant thing we seen was the clarity of our tanks.
I've been doing HGV for 7 years. Haven't had one clogged dripper due to the nutrient.
I can call HGV during the day, at night. Shout out to Nick for answering our calls like whenever.
They're efficient, they're friendly, they're a good company, and we really enjoy working with them.
I use HGV from veg, even on our clones. I use HGV for everything. I even sprinkle it on my steak.
it's interesting because some things, the way that the genetics of cannabis work, they're like a lot of complex interactions going on, beyond just being like complicated shit to understand. It's like there's a lot of things going on that you really can't pin down. Even like the most scientific operations now that are doing things, it's like, you guys are still not really getting any further than people who are like kind of just trying to do it hands-on, and the reason why is because a lot of things, like I said, there's a lot of complicated things that are going on. So when you look at something good that you want, like anything that you can use to describe something is a trait. So if you're like, it's tall, well, it's tall. That's a trait, when you say something like it smokes, right? You're like, oh, dude, you want to see the list of traits involved in that? So if you really break it down, you go, okay, first of all, what do we got? We got a bud, right? So you look at the bud and you check it out. You go, okay, we got weed right here. Now, what makes it smoke? So first of all, it might have to do with just the way the stem grows in it. It might have to do with how much leaf it has compared to flower. Then it has to do with all these different ratios to how that is. And then what is the actual tissue of the plant made out of? Is there more cellulose in it? Is it more plasticky? Is it more soft? Like something like Skittles or Urkel, I'm convinced has a lot less cellulose in it. Haven't seen the test, but I can feel it. It's just not a plasticky plant. It's very soft and beautiful the way it burns.
Then it's not as waxy. Water doesn't go off as easy. It comes into more issues because it's softer, but it's also really nice to smoke because it's got less of that other type of plant material. Yeah.
And then, but then you're like, okay, but what we're really interested in when we go to smoke is the resin. So then you're like, all right, well, how much resin does it have? That's a trait. Then it's like, all right, well, how, another trait is, does the resin grow wall to wall? Like Pice Cream, it grows, the resin is like, you can't fit anymore, And then you go, oh, well, if you had a little bit taller of resin, then all of a sudden you create a bigger area. And so wall to wall would actually be more. Wall to wall on short legs is less. And then you go, okay, how big are the heads? What's in the heads? Every tiny little detail that you can look at is a trait. And some of these things, it might be one gene that controls 30 traits. And some of these things, it might be,
That's the mean gene.
it might be the opposite, right? So you might have something where you go, oh, it's good resin. Well, what does good resin mean? So you might look at it and go, oh, well, this one over here, it has too much lipids. This one over here, it has too much VOCs of whatever types, whether they're terpenes or whatever it is. This one over here, it has a little more of this or a little more of that. And so when you look, like, the specifics of it aren't as
how thick's
important.
the cuticle, how full of like oil, like how long's the stalk, like all these little things that add up to a totally different smoking experience. Or
it's like you have, when you go to breed, it's like, all right, well, how are these things going to travel? So now you might get a lot of these traits to travel, and you can just introduce this one thing and it'll take it all in and it'll bring it all in there, right? Like when you breed, like I smelled the Skittles thing you have. When you breed that, it's like it takes with it this combination of different aromatic compounds, right? And probably it might even have like some really cool lipids that we're not giving it credit for having. Like people are like, get rid of the waxes. It's like there might be a wax in there that makes it have a good mouthfeel, or that makes it cooler on your throat, or we don't really know, there's all these different little things that are going on with these plants. And so first you have to kind of figure out what you're trying to do, and then you have to see if it'll work. But because there's so much complexity going on, a lot of times it's a lot easier to just go fire times fire. Like you said, see if some of it works. And then when it does work, you keep moving it that direction. And that's basically what I've always done. And I do it with an awareness of all these things I'm talking about. But it's like, you can have an awareness of all these things. It's really not going to help you, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to pick 2 plants to combine, because we can't combine 4 at the same time. We can combine 4. We can make a 4-way cross if we take 2 and then 2 by 2. And you can keep doing all this stuff. But really what you're trying to do is combine these plants that have these desirable traits, hope that the genes travel and recombine in the way you want them to. And then you got to, catch lightning in a bottle. Then it's like, okay, I got the clone. And once you have that clone that has that combination of traits that you wanted, then you can go somewhere with that, or you can just keep that clone. And now that clone is a product, that's like, there it is. You got the cultivar, you can run with it. You just don't lose it. But like for me, I always like, if I find something really special, I always want to make the seed version of it. So to do that, there's all these little tricks that you got to try. If it's a true breeding plant and you try to back cross to it endlessly, you'll just get the same messy mix you start with. If you breed it forward and you take a wrong turn, then you're going to have to go back to the old seeds. There's all these little tools you use. And the main thing to understand is just basically that you're trying to capture the right combination of the traits that make it good to you. And however you do that is all good, but it's going to wind up basically, no matter how you try to make it all, official and use the right terminology and use the right programs and all this, like all the really important breeding that ever happens is just like you say, you just take fire and fire. But to add to that, you can go, okay, we got fire to fire, but now what we wind up with Skittles. So you're asking like, okay, now, so how do I get that? Well, you might want to take something that has amazing growth, but it still has flower that you like how it smokes, and it's got everything's good about it, but it's just such a better plant. But it's not super likely to completely just change Skittles so bad, but it has this one really good trait you want. You might want to take Skittles, since it is fairly true breeding, and then you outcross Skittles to something with incredible growth and resistance. You take that and then go ahead and take that hybrid and find the plant that seems to be the right combination that you want, because the whole plant of Skittles smells like Skittles. People are like, stem rub don't count. Smell a Skittles plant. It smells like Skittles. If yours don't, it ain't the right one. Like,
smell a GMO
the plant smell. Exactly. Yeah.
I was cutting clones of it and I'm like, God, man.
And the more you get used to it, the more you'll be able to recognize it. It might not be right away, but over time you'll be like, oh, this smells like this. So if you want to incorporate one single trait, which could just be faster growth, and then another trait, which is fast rooting, and then another, which is like mold resistance or a little bit more of a certain type of potency you want, you might be able to get these 3 traits might be controlled only by 3 single genes. And to incorporate those in, it might be really easy. And if it comes in on the first generation well, you might want to go ahead and take that and find a plant that still fits the description and put it back on the Skittles again. And then out of that generation, find the one that still has all the beefiness you want from it and maybe put it back on Skittles again. And then once you get it to where you're like, okay, now I keep getting a decent amount because I keep putting in the desirable trait that I wanted from outside. It keeps popping up from inside the Skittles seeds that I'm making, right? Then you get to that point, you might want to go, okay, so I've already reinforced the Skittles by back crossing to it a couple times because we know the Skittles puts Skittles flavor in crosses. We know that, right? So that's an easy example. But it also grows like an Urkel plant, kind of. It's like really a pain in the ass, and it's in Urkel's actually grows better, but it has similar sideways traits, really slow, really trippy, hard to root, all those things.
Weeping willow.
Flower's quick enough.
So like that's what like originally back crossing was really like studied for, was okay, if you have something and you know what's desirable about it, it's true breeding for that. It'll really give a lot of the things that come from it will have that good thing you want. Then you can incorporate those few things like good growth and everything back, but you want to do it so that you're like, okay, now we've made it so that we keep getting this big improved plant, but by going back to the Skittles really put tons of the, that Skittles smell is now more, or flavor, smokability is still now really in that population a lot. Then you can go ahead and go, all right, so now instead of going back to the Skittles mom again, I'm going to go ahead and find the females that are the ones that really have the crazy Skittles weed, since now it's like whatever, in theory, it's 7/8 Skittles or whatever it is, it's like mostly genetically in its blood, it's mostly this plant, but we're still seeing these traits that we incorporated that were an improvement, right? Well, now we can take the female that has those improved traits and the original traits we wanted from the mom, and we can take the male and now we can breed those together. And when we breed them there, you might go, oh, everything now is how we want it, but it probably won't be. But in that next generation, you make sure that you keep the ones that really have the truly desirable traits that you wanted. Don't fool yourself, because that's where you'll take a wrong turn and you'll get too far into the future and you'll go, oh, now we have to go back to the start. But at every generation, you want to really make your very best choices and combine those plants. And then when you get a new population, you might all of a sudden go, ooh, there's not more of them now, but it's like, it's okay. Try with the ones that fit the description to breed them together in different pairs. So you have the different combos. So if you have like 4 females that appear to be what you want when you grow them, right? That's the phenotype. And you have the males that appear to be what you want. Well, that's one of the trippy things, is it's like, just because it grows like this doesn't mean that that's what it's going to breed like. So you have to find the one that breeds the right way and grows the right way, so that the way that you see it come about and you look at it and you go, it's a big, easy to grow Skittles, but really has it's the real deal, but the plant's so much better. Okay, cool. But if you only have one of those, you might breed with it and you might discover that it does not throw out a lot, but some of them are more likely to be able to make a lot more that are like them. So if you can keep the different pairs and try them, then you find the right combo, and then you can really make it be true breeding to where you're like, okay, now we have that plant that you were saying that you wanted. And the only way to do that is by going through that process and really checking. And people tell you, oh, just use a lab and they'll tell you what it is. That's cool if you want high THC or any of these things that are single traits controlled by a single gene that we can follow, right? Or a group that maybe all travels on the same chromosome. They can look at that in the lab and they can just tell you, this is what like big genetics companies who do corn and stuff, they'll like do a gene sample on each corn kernel. And if the corn kernel has the right combination of genes, they go, okay, just plant these kernels, because they've already taken a tiny piece off of it and tested the actual individual seed. You could do that with weed, but because weed has so many different traits controlled by so many different genes and such weird combinations, that in my opinion, it's more practical to just go, okay, we got the big crazy thing over here. It's not going to totally ruin the Skittles flavor and whatever. And then we got the Skittles over here. You do that. You just incorporate, you drag in these desirable outside traits, and it can be done. But a lot of times people, like, initially, okay, we're on that fire by fire thing, right? But after you start the process, you got to really know, like, okay, where are the things that go wrong? And I was never really able to understand that by reading the books. I was like, okay, and then I was like, I don't understand it. And I read it again and again, and I go, I don't understand it. And then when I started doing it and actually removing one trait that's controlled by a single gene, by going through and using what people would use, Punnett squares and recessive and dominant and all the basic, like
the
genetic
thing is, we're not
stuff.
talking about like a purple flower and a white flower.
That's the problem
or
with
blue
something
eyes
like
or brown eyes,
yeah.
just a common like recessive dominant combination. Easy to work out what the population will be like, but you're talking about infinite.
How does it smoke?
Like wild, like there's
so many traits, and how does it smoke, dude?
Subtle
it's not,
differences.
Yeah.
What's every aromatic compound that's present? What's producing it? What are the trichomes like? Yeah, all of these things are
so
just
you got to look for it and then find it and go, okay.
But then you focus
it made
again,
it.
yeah.
And then we caught it. And once you catch it, you breed it. You know what I mean?
So you're almost saying each trait is like a tree where it starts with a single trait, but it might be connected to 100 other things that are like, it changed 20 different things about the outcome of a flower versus.
But then you can see what happens the next generation, or or you already have like the back crossing. I mean, I did a very similar kind of thing too, even with the Z example, like to do like putting black dog on it, which makes it grow balanced and nice and more mold resistance and way more fun. But then I immediately put it back on the Z again to do a back cross. And then like something I like to do is that next sibling combination. So you make like a BC1F2 where you then select out of the next sibling combination the pairs that you want to put together. I did that with like the cherry lime dog, and that ended up like a lot of times I find my selection after like taking something that you want, putting it with something that brings the traits that you want, and then back crossing again, and then choosing from that next sibling pair the next thing that you're going to start crossing and continue on that way. But it just gets you like a head start of making sure that you've put that one on there twice.
So what he's saying is the example that I used hypothetically, he's already done it.
With both examples, but with the Z exactly.
But let me ask this though.
Also with the cherry lime dog too.
We said, and then you got your male
Which turned
keeper.
into cherry
Obviously,
moon.
we talk a lot about reversals when we talk about males. What's a male keeper? Are we reversing? Because I've always asked people, are you reversing the male and then trying to see what the traits it's bringing? Or are you doing stem rub? Are you doing growth? Are you doing looks? Are
Observing
you doing
the next generation is the best way.
Okay.
Really. But.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the best way. And so
of course, choosing really well by its characteristics while it's growing, and knowing that it's like resistant, that it has the stem rub that you want, that there's certain traits that are similar to what you recognize in the things that you want to, like showing off. Like,
you want to think that you want to start from a point where you go, I really think this is a good one. So of course you want to look at everything that's observable, but it's like I was saying, if you wind up with these 4 plants that are like, oh, they're all a big, easy to grow Skittles, right? Then it's like, yeah, you have those 4. And so when you look at them, you go, I know for sure, especially say you grew them a few times, you're very familiar now with the phenotype. The phenotype is what exists that we look at. That's the material manifestation of genetics, is a phenotype. But all 4 of these plants, you might look at them and they might have the exact same phenotype. But as soon as you breed them, you discover that they all have different genotypes. So that's something I hear people are pheno, geno, whatever. It all depends on what you're talking about. When you're talking about how it breeds, that's genotype. When you're talking about what a plant is, that it really is, that makes it different from things, a lot of that is the genotype. But when you actually grow it and you put this in, all we have here, this is something that we know what it is, but this is a phenotype, because this is the material thing that actually exists. Every plant you've ever seen is a phenotype.
Yeah.
And it's a genotype. But what do we want from the plant? Because when you want to breed it, you want the genotype, you know? So you might go, oh, I have these clones are all great. It's like, yeah, but only one of them possesses the genotype to go forward you want, even though for the product you want, the phenotype is perfect.
Show
you
me
know,
a couple examples of the double limes or something that you've selected.
I'd like to
having
ask-
both the females and the.
I'd like to
siblings.
ask both of you, biggest surprise in your career? Something that you grew or you bred that you were like, what in the, something just surprised you. Was there something that you've ever come across where you're like, I did this project and it's unexpected?
I'm trying to think of something that would really stand out like that. I mean, there's a thing where when you breed and you work with things that are terpinolene heavy, you assume that you're going to just continue to always have terpinolene. And that's everybody knows that. But I've bred a few things that when I took the right, the right direction in them, that I just made more seeds one time and never saw terpinolene again. Even though the mom was all terpinolene with tons of other stuff, it's gone. And that probably for me was like the most, as far as for breeding, because, you know, like, oh, what is surprising? I would say something came out different than you expect. Well, terpinolene, you expect a lot of terpinolene, but I was able to take a thing that was like straight terpinolene and breed it with the stuff I was calling cross that I told you about, and plant that and grow it a couple generations and be like, oh, now it's grape, chocolate, skunk, burnt rubber, and there's no terpinolene. And I was like, this is crazy, you know?
And so for people listening, you could take a jack plant, and basically going the right way in the breeding with it, there's a zero jack left. And what you're left with is whatever the nuances without jack is, I guess, that terpinolene. So you start to get the lemon zest and I'm sure a bunch of other underlining factors. What about for you? Was there ever a project where when you were hunting through or what you saw was like, that is something so different than what I would have expected or just out there?
No, actually, I can't think of
that's
anything
interesting.
really.
So when you're going in with intention,
it's always surprising to me just how cool the universe is. Like, that's just like shocking, like just how well certain things work out or expect, or like just what you get to learn, I guess, along the way is like always surprising. And then, I mean, some things just work out in such a cool way or something. You mentioned the black sapphire before. I'm not sure if it's the same one, but I have a black sapphire. It was a Sapphire Scout Holy Crack black dog, cross back on the black dog, that I did with the Harlessu, the 20-to-1. And every single seed from that generation was pretty much exactly a 2-to-1 and was so similar and just put off like a really cushy, like it had that bubblegum cushy gassy thing on the tongue, but still had that spicy herby thing that you associate with like CBD, especially like Ringo lines. And like to be able to put those things together and have that generation be so just similar all down the line, and year after year people growing them and people connecting with it, and you just don't know like what something's going to do. And then certain farms like Moonmaid Farms and Newcomb Farms, they've been growing the Sapphire Sioux for years, and there's just people that connect to it really well, and that's one of the few varieties I do that have terpinolene, and they all have a bit of terpinolene in it, but they're in the way that I like mashed up to have some of that kind of thick, danky, cushy stuff to it. And like you start hitting it, and it doesn't hit you just like a CBD weed would. And having that combo of a 20-to-1 with a complete THC variety in that, with a whole kind of hybrid going into it and having such consistency after, it's just cool to just see. You get to observe what the next generation's like and what happens. Yeah. And it's always surprising what you can learn and how cool nature is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a one. It's the same thing that I already said about the other one, but in that, it's surprising in that, you take all these things and mash them together and you think, this is going to be the wildest seed ever. And then you breed it a couple times and you're like, this is all one thing now, you know, like it's very unpredictable. There's a lot of,
and sometimes it's like exactly kind of what you had in mind.
That's what I was going to say. The trippy thing.
What's happening there?
It's
there's something beyond with our connection with cannabis. That's so like old and mutualistic. And it reminds me again of dogs. It's like, that always trips me out that we can have a giant mastiff. We can have a little Chihuahua, and they have amazing functions. We have ratting dogs. We have dogs that can move sheep across have a border collie understand whistles and move sheep across miles of acres, or miles and miles, or acres and acres of farmland, and be able to be in perfect formation and protect them and move them. And just that level of connection with like mind and soul, but then each generation carrying that information on, and the dog that you need comes out, and the weed that you need comes out too, when you put that kind of like thought
Intention.
intention into something.
Yeah, breeding, when you push things in different directions, when you put the pressure on them, like through selection, like, okay, I just want this to happen, so I'm going to pick these things. It just works way better than most people would think it would work. It's just, you're going to have failure, but as long as you understand a little bit of what's going on and why you're failing, then you can get back on the right track, and you can all of a sudden go, okay, I had this idea. Like, I think a lot of people would have the idea I did early out, that if you want to make something, it's like this, it's like, it probably is never going to work. It's like, if you keep doing it, you're probably going to make what you want to make. You really can, which is crazy. I think that's the most surprising thing, is that like, whoa, this shit works like at more than a 50-50 or more than a 10% or whatever it is. It's like, no, like a lot of times the things I do, and it helps you really like need some time with the plants. It's really good to learn the stock you're working with, to know, like, if you're trying to make something, you have to know what it really is like. You know, you have to be able to recognize it really easy. Otherwise, then how are you going to do it? But if you have that kind of mind where you can tell the difference between things by those little subtle variations, you know, you're good at identifying whatever, you know, mushrooms or dog breeds or car years, or, you know what I mean? Like this model versus that model, like, oh, I can tell that watch is that watch, but that watch is that, whatever you're good at telling apart. If you're good at telling anything apart, then you could probably get you could probably breed things faster to be what you want, easier than you would think. You know, that's all you have to know, is how to tell things apart, and then try them. And like, it's kind of shocking how things can work. Like he said, sometimes it's like it works when it shouldn't. You know, and
or maybe we just don't know enough. It should.
No, exactly. But I mean, as far as like logically, like as far as the average logical mind would tell you, right? Because me and him are like, we're funny like that, because there's like weird synchronicity we'll see,
I was
and
just
like
about to say synchronicity,
right?
actually.
And so like there's all these things, and I'll be like, yeah, that's crazy, and he'll be like, well, I mean, it's not really crazy. And I'm all, yeah, but logically minded people would think this was crazy, you know?
Well, when it keeps happening, is it crazy?
Because the shit's kind of woo-woo. You're like, how does it work? You're like, I manifested it. You're like, no. Well, you're like, kind of. I mean, there's, you know, when somebody draws a blueprint for something, they're manifesting a structure. So it doesn't come without the blueprint, right? So when you go to think of something to make, it's like, it's not like you just started in it. You realize, oh, I did make a lot of decisions that were logical along the way that did get me here to do that. But when it happens, you feel like it's just all magic, and it is. It's both, you know?
I was going to say that too, is like the surprising thing often is like a synchronicity out of nowhere. And we were doing the podcast with Rob from the audio evidence van. You can see him on Instagram. He's doing the sound for Wyclef. He's actually down here right now too.
Oh, that's
he's
cool.
done so many different projects, but
Wyclef Jean?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
He flies with them all over as a sound man, but he's done so many different albums and so many different things. He's done the Mateel for years and Reggae River.
Yeah, he's the Mateel sound guy, you know,
the guy.
like up there. Yeah.
But he did a podcast with all of us called Jars, where we're all smelling jars. And this moment came up where Tasso was on the phone with us, joined the podcast. And Rob's just like, all right, you know, like, we're going to pick a jar for Tasso. And somehow it was a jar at random, and pulled up this jar and opened it up to see what it was. And it was the double lime.
The lime L. The lime L,
which he had smelled at the Tending the Garden movie premiere, that Jackson brought that with him, and Tasso smelled it and was so connected to it, and he took note to that. He's like, oh, okay, maybe this is a keeper to like mess with, and then bred with it the next year. And then the like jar that comes out, I mean, you could probably tell the story better, was the one while Tasso was like, all right, pick one for us to roll. And it was that one.
And I could have brought a lot of different kinds of weed. And originally I had brought a bunch of kinds of weed. Tasso smells it. It lights him up. And I go, wait, let me see that one. Cause I got like a few different, I got lime U, lime V, lime whatever.
Well, I wanted to ask about all these. I want to go through some of these, Jackson. That, and as we go through some of these, I'd love for if you could explain, man, explain some of the genetics and what went into these or the project behind it. Cause I'd like to get people to understand, you know, just what you do, bro. You know, the average consumer is going to be like, oh, they're having a heady conversation. But I look at this and I think years of work, years of passion, trials and tribulations, raids, bullshit.
Also notice nothing here is labeled, but he knows what everything is.
Oh man, this is really nice, bro. That, and I want to ask you what you think really Skittles is, but let's start with this. I'd love to know what you think, because we used to grow a grapefruit and it does remind me of grapefruit, but not in the same way.
Or just
I don't know. I'm from Florida, right? So in the early 2000s, I started growing weed in Florida, and I didn't hear about the OG story and all the OG stuff till way later, till I'd moved out of Florida and stuff. We grew a bunch of sativa hybrids and sativas. We were growing juicy fruits. And then we had the blueberry, which was a quick finisher, but it was like pot of gold and just Jack, the real Jack, not the Jack that I had out here. The Jack Herrera that's like spicy and musty and like looks like a spider almost. It's a fucking scary looking.
Yeah.
Army green and frosted out, like almost put you in a spin out. It's so strong, but like stuff like that. And so it's just so many sativas I miss. I miss the original blueberry we had from Dutch Passion. I miss the grapefruit. We had gotten like just a cut of grapefruit, but all the stuff was probably coming from Ump and Mendo, from what I understood. Was one guy that used to bring in some of our best genetics. And it was my buddy who was connected to a couple Marines that had gone and fought. And then when they all got out, they all moved to Mendo and they were just growers. And he used to just get shit. And I was like, looking back, it was like some of the best genetics we ever had.
Did he have like a Cherry Lopez or a strawberry banana?
So Cherry Lopez sounds familiar, but not strawberry. We had Blue Mystic. We had Blue Mystic, Florida Juicy Fruit. There was some Dutch Passion Blueberry from my other mentor. We had grapefruit from him. We had a Blue Kush. That was like, if you took like a blue marker and smelled it, it was just like, wow. Stuff that I just miss so much. And it seems like Skittles is doing so much for so long. The wave is bigger than almost a lot of other waves. It's just constant. What do you think's in it? Do you have any ideas of what you think actually created that strain? I'm not saying who bred what and who found it, but
my knee-jerk reaction when I smelled it the first time was, smells like there's some Urkel in there. Smells like there's some Kush in there, right? After growing it, I was like, yeah, I can see how there's like some Urkel-y-ness to it. So when things are similar, it doesn't mean that one comes from the other necessarily, but it's likely that there's probably some relation there. That relation could be in modern times from somebody who you would be able to name. That relation might be the name of a mountain that it came from in southern Pakistan, you know? It could be that the relation might be way, way back, or it might be really, really recent. So when I say, oh, I can see a relation with Urkel, they might share a common ancestor, you know? It's like I say Northern Lights and OG and Chem and everything. People think I'm saying like, oh, the Northern Lights is I'm like, no, but it seems like whatever it is, it's probably from a similar region in the world, because things regionally are kind of how they are there. You don't find like, you're not just going to find like Bubba Kush in Thailand in the jungle. Like, it's like, no, that is Afghani. That's Pakistani. Like that comes from there and they're distinct, you know?
And when you bred the OG with the Hindu Kush with OG, right? Or would you put? No, you put the
Hindu and OG. You get a really
similar Bubba type thing that comes out.
Because you know those, but you know, like the Hindu is very much like a Northern Lights type thing. The OG has like these edges of it, and you know, that has Northern Lights in it. That
this
has
is
OG
phenomenal.
In it. You like that,
dude?
We smoked that on the beach last night. I got kind of fucked up.
Like this.
That's why I'm not smoking early in the pod, because I'm like, yeah,
we were just laughing like crazy.
If I go quiet like I went last night, when I'm here, I'm not going to be explaining fucking back crossing and shit. You know what I mean?
For everyone who likes that bright Z and that like man, and that.
That's way more
Northern Light, man. This
intensity.
Yeah, so that's a lime that's a little bit more like the mandarin lime, like where you smell that little mandarin edge to it. Man, but it also has, we were saying last night, almost like a candy cane thing, like a little bit of that mint, little eucalyptus, some earthiness. It's very much like in the realm of Kush.
Very much like a Kush, like Kush Skittles.
Yeah.
For a Kush, like, or the best of that little zesty grapefruit in the back of that, man, that great soury Kush.
Yeah, over the years, I've really been like anything that's weed, but it doesn't smell like weed. Because you know how weed It smells like weed. Like if you think of like when you were a kid and there's some hippies smoking some pot, you know, it's like, yeah, it smells like pot, right? The stuff that I like is the stuff that is like, it's like, oh, wow, how did it do that? And Skittles is the definition of that. And that's what makes it such a heavy hitter. It also, because of how the flower grows, like I said, it's like probably not a lot of cellulose in it, probably the waxes in it. We actually like the waxes and other lipids in there. And there's all this combination of stuff that makes it incredible. And it probably has some things that we haven't realized it has in it. Like a lot of things are ketones or esters, or there's all these things that are aromatics that our noses can pick up on. And when weed, a lot of what weed tastes like is what you smell, because it's your palate. If you smoke Skittles and you hold your nose, you won't taste Skittles, but you'll still be like, damn, that's good. Like there's something about the smoke that goes beyond the smell and the flavor. It also smokes, like it wants to be smoked. You know, like there's certain things when you smoke them, you go like, I don't know if it is, there's got to be a couple other dumbasses that were like me who smoked some shit you shouldn't smoke, like a leaf from a tree, like a piece of madrone bark or whatever. Yeah. And you go, oh, it doesn't want to be smoked. But when you smoke the right weed, you go, that shit wanted to be smoked. Like we evolved like you know, like our boy Tasso was talking about, like being like a bird, like a hummingbird. And then there's certain flowers that are your flower because your nose is built for it. And it's like, there's just some stuff that humans love, and all humans are different. So some people love GMO, some people love Skittles, some people love stuff in between. Some people love stuff that's got nothing to do with any of it. But yeah, something about Skittles makes it super smokable. But I know for sure, like nobody knows what it is. There's just nobody knows what it is. Like that's cool. Like, yeah, it's, you know, it's this or it's that, or it's like, but nobody knows what it is. But like my nose, when I first saw it, the knee-jerk reaction, I'm all, it probably has, you know, a quarter Urkel, a 16th Urkel, tiny bit of Urkel, something related to Urkel, something that was related to Urkel hundreds of years ago. But in that realm, there's only so much stuff that has like a special thing to it. And so I've always tried to collect those kind of things. And when I first got the plant that started all my lime stuff, it was this little plant. It had really narrow little buds, and it had these tiny leaves, and the whole thing turned solid black right before I harvested it. And the buds just smelled so good, like Thai food, like it just that kind of lime, you know? And I was just blown away by it. And so there's been certain things over the years that I smell and I'm like, okay, that's really distinct and it's really cool. And that's really, some things are like, wow, that doesn't smell like anything else, but you don't like it, right? But there's some things that you really like. And so like, that's the reason why like I use lime for a lot of stuff, is because I put it in that category with things like Skittles or like sour or OG Kush or, you know, GMO, ChemD, that whole thing. If you like it, you like it because it's distinct. You know, people who like garlic, they'll put garlic in anything, dude. People who hate garlic don't want it anywhere near their food. You know, cilantro, basil, like things that are distinct. People either really like it or they don't. Smoked food. Like if you don't like smoky food, then you're going to hate it. And if you like it, you like it. Like mezcal, like, you know, like some people like tequila, some people like mezcal. I don't like mezcal because it's too smoky. I'll drink it. But some things are a turn off and some things are a turn on for your brain. Your brain lights up or it doesn't. And anything that does that for me, I've tried to like keep it around and then do as much with it to see where it'll go and where I can take it and do the whole fire by fire thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's like the lime stuff. Like there's that one. This is
phenomenal, by the way.
Thank you, man.
Jackson. This is for anyone who likes, when he said Skittles, OG Kush, sour diesel, that's literally the three things I think of when I smelled this. That's
cool. Yeah.
It's got an extra blast of lime and gas for me too. It's
so
just
good.
so like,
yeah, very unique. This is like my favorite of the limes that I've been growing recently, just because I really like it. It's a double lime sour dub cross
structure too. I love the way some of these are wrapping, like where the bud just wraps up. It's so like it's aggressive looking bud versus that. Man,
big features. And this is a little bit cut early because I like the high when it's still a little bit brighter. And this one you really gotta like I recommend take like a bud of it and just fuck up your fingers with it.
This
Just
is very different.
Take a bud of it, really,
different.
really like get that all on your hand to the point where it's like you're trying to make some hand rub hash or some shit, right? And then just drop the weed and rub your fingers together and just smell your fucking fingers, you know?
Wow, really greasy.
Yeah,
Like,
and sticky.
wow, man. Yeah, this is.
So that right now is like, we smoked a huge fatty of that last night. And when you smoke it, it's like you're smoking a hash hole.
Dude, this is
It's
like
so resinous, dude.
yeah. I'm like, what is the?
Yeah. And
There's like lemon OG Kush, menthol, a
Yeah.
lot of menthol in there. I mean, this is like
and if you have it around for a long time and you get used to it, which I'll give you a big bag of it, eventually you'll settle like, damn, it smells like lime and lemongrass. And it's like back to
does
that
have
Thai
that.
food thing. It's very much like a Thai food smell, you know?
Limes too that have that
Yeah.
totally other
Yeah,
type of
and
lime.
that's
I
in
bet
that
the hash
realm,
is
you know?
incredible on some of these.
Yeah,
it's a little
and it's so
greasy to
greasy. I think you'd have to do it dry, but you
it
can
would be
hash it with
wildly
dry weed, and
flavorful.
it's so good it'll compete. You know?
Dude, I love the structure on that too, Jackson. That's a great. I'm a big structure. Like obviously, you're not saying that I pick keeper, but I love when a flower has a good structure and it has horns or the way it builds. It's just. I'm a big characteristic person. Like I love when that's something that's like, ooh, and it also looks insane.
Yeah.
And when I say looks, people are going, who gives a fuck? I'm not saying about the color. I mean, there's an aggressive look some plants have to the flower where you're just like, if that flower is growing in the wild, you'd be like, don't touch it. If it pricks you, you might die.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
like
and that's like
nothing looks
cactus
like
weed
that.
right there. Yeah, that's like cactus weed right there. And that's the thing too, is it's like, hey, anything that you like about a plant, like that's something you like about it. Like I used to like get high on mushrooms and sit and look like I had this first good run of like the indoor dirt big bud back in the day. And I would just sit, I had to have looked at it steady for an hour one time, just going, wow, I have so many colors and it looks kind of blue, not green. It's so trippy, and just looking at it and the way the leaves really wrapped around it and was that cool old school like Afghani like that, and it was so gooey, and I was just blown away. Like, how does this do this? And then how do you smoke this? And it's not only like you like the taste and everything, but then it does something to your consciousness. Like, this is crazy, you know? But the look is part of the experience. And what like I try to explain to people who don't get it, it's there's not a certain thing that's pretty. You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, what's pretty? Like, you know, describe like whatever, like the flower that you think is pretty. Like, you only like red flowers? You only like white flowers? It's like, no, when you see a pretty flower, you know what it is. Like this, a lot of people would look at that and go, yeah, that's really ugly. But you look at it because you know about smoking and you go, that's pretty because that's surface area. That's savagery. You know what I mean? That's like, you know, that's going to hit
pretty
you.
for
But
a smoker. For
And
sure.
I love that plant evolved in that way where its expression is something where it's like, wow, look at that. Like she's just abnormally a standout, you know? It's, I don't know, it's like its aura that it carries with it where you're like, look at that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And we're linked with the plant. Like there's a reason why when we look at it, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like bees don't just fly around and go land on the fucking lawn all day. They look for flowers and they look for the ones that they know have what they need. And we
flowers
look at
know how to
ourselves.
advertise.
And we're cut off from that to where we don't even realize it. But it's like, there's a reason why when you smell that, you like it. Probably when you smoke it, you'll like it. And a lot of people, when they don't like the smell, a lot of times that thing gives them the high they don't like. A lot of people who don't like terpinolene, they don't like that terpinolene high. It's too creepy. And a lot of people who like the smell, they want to get fucked up. You know what I mean? Just fuck me up, man. You know?
Bring it on.
Yeah, it's trippy, man.
And man, so yeah, keep showing us some stuff. I love seeing these because it's years of hard work here.
So here's a cool one. This is one I released. I called 3-Star Ratchet, but it's Sensi Star cross Jaro. And this is one that I really like. It's just really trippy. It has a lot of like what people would call gas, but it's also very like herbs and spicy and trippy. And it just smokes like it's one of those ones that loves to smoke, you know?
Oh man. Yeah.
Smokes
very
like
nice.
good, like a good diesel type thing. I just, you know, I love that one. And then, so it's cool. Like then I took that plant, and when I reversed the old Hindu that I have, I went ahead and decided to use that in the reversal. And then I made this one. My nose is shot right now.
You know what's funny?
But-
And after you get around enough weed, I can smell potency in weed. Like you can go, oh man, this will spin you out right here. This thing. I feel like that about a lot of your stuff. Like
That's
I
true.
look at it and I go, this is potent ass weed right here. Cause just off the smell, I'm starting to get a little bit of a I don't know, like a buzz in my front forehead from huffing the nose of them.
Yeah.
And I can tell already, like that last one, this one.
Yeah.
This ain't for fucking the average smoker.
Oh,
right
when you
here.
smoke that, it's good.
Like if you don't like sativas, if you're like that thing has such a strong, I'm not even saying it's sativa, but that.
Yeah.
You smoked a joint before.
It is a bright high. It's funny you say that because it's not just like, oh, I'll smoke this and go to bed. It's like, no, like you get that wears off and you're like not tired on the end of the drive or whatever, you know?
That joint before dinner last night, we're like driving, think the cops are all after us or go and everything's closed.
paranoia was real,
and
dude.
we happened to walk.
We thought we were going to
an
G-Bay,
Indian
dude.
restaurant that was open, and it was amazing. Taj, like incredible. But we walk in, we're like looking at the menu, and I felt like I was in high school, like just stoned out of my mind trying to read this like this menu and everything, and it just brought me back. We were just laughing,
Those are
having
my
a great
favorite
time.
times.
But then like we ordered and had an awesome dinner and walked on the beach and had a great time. But it's that it was quite potent right off the bat.
no,
was
it got us,
hilarious.
yeah.
Like,
Another one that this
lifelong
is
smokers and still getting
That's got that smell, but it's got this maple thing over the top of it. And I don't know if you can notice it, but
Is that the maple
I'll
bar?
label them to leave them with you so you can kind of know like, oh, this is the taster's notes or whatever. But
Is that the maple bar or the parent?
Yeah.
this is like mahogany and OG. Like I don't know that it's funny, man. I get a lot of like candies and I get a lot of stuff that people bring that for all the people that want full-bodied smoke. I mean full-bodied smoke. Gene, I see a lot, or Jackson, I see a lot of your stuff and I go, this is what a lot of people have been asking me for in genetics, in my opinion, where like I'm touching these, my fingers are so resinous, the front of your forehead, just from smelling the pounds is like, get ready, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like this is very potent weed.
Yeah, it's,
very, very front forward. Like I don't have to like look for a nose. Like I know exactly what most of these are bringing to the table. Beautiful flower.
That's a take on candy right there. That's the Pice Cream 27. And it's
Yeah, I
outs
love
let
this
go
one.
late, so it's got a darkness to the look and stuff, but it's smoking. You know?
I love that nose. That is, man,
Really
that is
cool.
just
kind of like a black cherry.
yeah.
kinda.
So it's about black
Yeah.
cherry and like dark grapes. And
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of Mamba candies. It has a creaminess to it, but more so when it's grown indoor. Outdoor, it gets a little bit more deep and funky. It almost gets some of that like perm solution skunk smell to it. But that's like, that's a cool one. Just because you said candy, and then this is
people say candies are new. And then I was talking to an old breeder and he was telling me, man, you know what? This candy wave, he's like, I used to see Breeder Steve with like a bunch of candies back in the day. And he goes, I think this is just at the time, we didn't call it the candy line, but he was working those same terp lines. And it's funny how they come back years later and it's like, what are people looking for? And things catch air finally years later.
all that peach stuff coming out of the Shishka stuff. So I got a pack from Bodie that he gave me, and it was a Shishka berry, White Widow, G13 hash plant. And I was like, I popped it and I'm growing it. And I'm like, damn, this one smells like a dumpster. Like I can smell the old onion peels and the banana skins. I'm like, this is cool, you know? And then I'm like, but I don't like that one. I like this one over here. It's more bubblegum. And then they get to the point where I go to cut them down and they're almost all like super peach. Like they used to have these little mints they called smints back in the day, peach smints. And they came in this little trippy container. And, I used to repurpose them for keef because you could like tap it out of your bong hit hella good. But they had this certain kind of peach to them, this artificial peach. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I see Bodie and I'm like, dude, check this out. I brought you a couple buds from these two because I'm going to keep them. And they look like they'll dump hash and it's crazy peach smell. And Bodie's like, oh yeah, wow, that's really weird. That's really peach, you know? And then I'm listening to some other stuff and I'm like, oh, I just didn't know because nobody had showed it to me. This is where you're getting the Moroccan peaches and all this other peach stuff. It's all coming from this Shishka or the White Widow Shishka. And I didn't know that. And so I was just trippy because when I smelled it, I was like, this is so in the realm of you. Like, you can't describe it as anything. It smells like actual like peach rings, artificial peach, not fruit peach. I've seen a lot of stone fruit, mildly peach. This is like really art. And that's from that old breeder Steve, you know? And now I'm like, you know, I need to hit him up like, dude, like, where's the, cause he's trying to like reproduce his old stuff. And I'm like, I want everything, man. He's got the heat, you know?
I want the old guy. I mean, yeah, bro. And like people need to know that that's if they want to tap into stuff that they're not seeing everyone grow, like those are the stuff to tap into. We hunted Skittles times papaya from Harry Palms and found a full peach in there, which was interesting to go Skittles times papaya
It
also
makes
equals
sense.
peach.
Adding the limonene
sense.
that like with the peach, like, and the extra mercy.
We're like, what
and
the fuck?
mango, or sorry, the papaya, like it would pop that out. We
That's
talked
one
about
that I'd be like,
too.
oh, if I had those, I'm popping those because I just got to see. You know?
had
It
to.
sounds good, right?
Dude, we had to. We popped four packs and
papaya and double lime.
yeah, my buddy LA Family Farms Joe, we washed every single one separately and then tried the flour, and yeah, it's full peach and flour, full peach and rosin. Rosin's retarded good, you know.
Yeah,
just full peach. And I thought that makes sense. Like when you think about it, Skittles, papaya, that equals peach. It's like two colors coming together that equal a different color. Like, yeah, it makes sense.
Sam had like predicted that too with the breeding, like putting those kinds of things from Dablogic. I remember just like, oh man, if you got something really like candy lime with the straight papaya, I think that would pop it out. Adding a little more limonene to
and all those combos.
Combo. And
that's what's so cool too about a lot of the fem breeding is it's so easy for somebody to take this thing over here, cross it with that thing over there, and see what it does. And it's not a whole program and everything. Like a lot of my stuff, like when I'm breeding it, I'm like trying to get it to this point where it's really an appropriate line to be able to make hybrids, so it's predictable. But that like sets you back. People are like, "Oh, what's up with that?" I'm like, yeah, it's like, this is cherry limeade, and I've been working on that forever. And people are like, "When's it?" I'm like, "Well, I'm still working on it." You know what I mean? And it's a funny thing because it's there, but I still know what I want to get to, you know. And then once it's worked to a certain point, even now where it is, I've started to make hybrids with it. But it's so cool to just be able to take like these things you know are great and toss them together and see, you know.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Like
this is a cherry lime dog with the black dog.
This is a hash maker's dream. Like I smell this.
It's a BHO maker's dream.
Okay, yeah,
and I have a
high.
suspicion that you can take the dry flour and cold press it and make flour rosin with no heat. And you might be, because it's such runny resin,
beautiful essence.
You might be able to get like actually a good flour rosin for it, whereas normally you can't because of the fact you don't have to probably add heat to it because it's got liquid resin on it. You can go ahead and get your hands all sticky from the double limes.
Oh, this is beautiful,
you can
bro.
wash
What
your
is
hands
this?
with that.
So that's the cherry lime dog. It's the black dog put with the cherry lime pop, but then I did the BC1 F2 combo, and then these are several siblings from the next generations of that. That's actually
so enjoyable.
Those are actually with the Paul's Cut black dog. Like
if you like that berry and when you smoke it, it tastes just like that,
Man,
that
this
cherry
is-
stuff.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
and then this is with, you mentioned the mandarin with the lime dog too. That's the mandarin lime dog.
This is like melons and
It's full of fruits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. And then this goes the other. This is bright.
A little more of that orange bit
Great
with it,
look,
but it
too.
still has that cherry lime thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, this is phenomenal. What is this, bro?
That's mandarin lime dog.
Dude.
So it's actually this cherry lime dog that went into that, which this is with the black dog.
This is really nice,
Pulse cut.
man.
And
This
then that's
I
with
like
the
a lot.
mandarin selection. That's just a really good hashy one actually on its own. This is a little bit chirpy and the extra a little more greasy for full on hash production, although it would taste phenomenal. I have several hash varieties here. Often they're a little more sandy and not as crazy, like bright or limey on the nose, but then like the way the hash actually comes out is the
This
same.
is fucking awesome. I really like this a lot, man. This one, whatever
Roll that
this
up, yeah.
one is, man. This the nose on this and hash would. I mean, this is I personally I've smelled. This is an award winner. If you're entering hash, this right here, I think would make something exceptional. This is like sour candy and shit.
Yeah,
like
awesome.
this is like.
It's good, dude.
And that's
This
a
is
few
really different, bro.
Siblings from just from seed from the doing the feminized Mandarin Lime Dog using the Black Dog Paul's Cut.
And so tell
It
me
came out
one more
really good.
time what this is. MCLD.
So it's the Cherry Lime Dog F2 selection with put onto, or actually a male selection from that generation put onto the Mandarin, and then making a selection from that generation. I then reversed the 2015 Paul's Cut, which was like the first release with HSO. A lot of people really like that Black Dog. I still have the original that was the mother of that too, that I breed with a lot, but I use that one as a reversal to just kind of give that classic first generation feel to it. And I put that onto that Mandarin Lime Dog selection, and they all came out super nice.
Mandarin lime. I okay. Now that you say that, I can picture that, because the smell of this one's exceptional. This has that sour, and then when I broke it up, it even got more like sweet and soury. Like, this is beautiful, bro. I love this combination of terps. Whatever made like this.
Although I do that one for flower. The Mandarin, I do a lot of different combos with it that lead really good to hash, because it does have those kinds of right qualities. And that was a cut that did with Simply Adam a bunch, and the Mandarin hash was insane. It was just so clean and just had that like orange peel, but it has the like gas and the candy, like just all this delicious stuff on the tongue, but really tasted like opening up a Mandarin, like right when you peel it.
I mean, for people listening, picture that the best essence of sour diesel, that like bright sour, in there with some citrus and melanin. And when I say citrus, even like lemon and stuff. That's a really nice one. And that's what I keep thinking about, Jackson, about your stuff too, is that we don't see a lot of lime hash. We don't see a lot of these smells that you're putting out here. My mind starts to, I'm a flower smoker, but I start to think about, holy shit, this has got to be incredible hash on a lot of these. If people could pull out something that's a washer.
That's like these limes that I have, like the one that I showed you. That's the first one, the Lime 1 Hindu. Mm-hmm. So the Hindu is a straight. It can hash. So it toughens up the resin on the lime, and people are getting dumpers out of that now. The Lime 1 Hindu. That's that grape cola, right?
What is that? What this is?
That's a root beer plant.
Whoa,
yeah,
man,
that's the grape cola one. Yeah.
Why do you call it the root beer line?
Because the plant. So I had this plant, and originally I noticed more like the sweet smell to it, and it was like grapey to me. And I was like, oh, it's like a grape headband. And then I smelled it longer and longer and longer. And I smelled it, and I went, it smells like Dr. Pepper or Pepsi. And then I smell it, and me and my buddy Eddie are chilling, and we keep smoking it. And it's so good. We're like, wow, I really thought this was, and I didn't want anything sweet. I wanted to make some diesel headband OG seeds, right? And they came out sweet, and I was really disappointed, but I started smoking it. And I was like, damn, I like this better than the gas clones, because it's more smoking to me, right? And then it just turned out that one day I'm really like smoking it, smelling it, rolling it up. I go, it smells like root beer. And Eddie goes, dude, it smells like root beer. And I was like, damn, it really does. And so like the hash that comes off of these is like really loud, like cola, root beer, Dr. Pepper, all those things. They're all true. It is there. The grape's there and all the blueberry and all that. But it has this overall like soda syrup smell.
100% does.
Yeah. It's
I
super
have yet
cool
to smell any weed like that.
And that's smoke that like when you haven't smoke it in the morning or something, or when you're on a walk or some shit, and just like check out like the high from it. It's a trip. It'll almost, you could like smoke a bunch of like whatever, purple things, and that are kind of just make you kind of high, stoned. And you'll smoke that and you'll be like, shit, I don't know if I'm high anymore, until you like go somewhere and you'll be all, I think I'm kind of fucked up. Like, it has an edgy little, like that edgy little sativa-ish kind of thing to it. A lot of character to the high. So I always tell people like, try it when it's by itself so you can see what the character is. And then try it when you're super high on something already so that you can see like, how did this fucking joint sober me up? Because there's this funny thing you do. You ever get almost kind of stuck? You're too high and you're all, fuck. Maybe it's just because my high's wearing off. Maybe if I smoke some more, it'll kind of, and it never really works. Or it might work on like on a road trip or something, or what, you're going somewhere. But like for 40 minutes. But this will actually like, you'll be, I feel different now than I did, like it'll.
There's a big gap
trippy
in the market with savory terps, with stuff that's not just candy and Skittles, and like that's that, man.
Well, this is a trippy one, because some people smell this and they go, yeah, that gas diesel, that, and then other people smell it and they go, oh, it's blueberry, it's grape, it's fruit, it's a neat one, yeah.
It's beautiful too, bro. This is like, this is intoxicating. This is a nice one. What's the
That's Chemi G. That's a super hasher. That dumps. It has like the really perfect.
Another one that,
Qualities to
man,
the trichomes.
great job to both of you, because these profiles it doesn't like, oh, this reminds me of, I can't
Well,
really.
that's what I want, the distinct things. You know what I mean?
I get
And then
some
once you
skunky
get used
fart
to
out
them,
of it too, but it's got that.
See what I'm saying? No, it's like what weed are you guys smoking that you recently smoked a
That's
skunky
really
fart?
nice.
Like it is different, bro. Really different.
And then that's some of the Gmob rosin in there too.
I got weed everywhere, guys. I'm rolling in it right now.
That one's more that savory line.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful, bro. Dude, this is beautiful, man. Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful, bro. And this is rosin, correct?
That's rosin. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. I had to ask. I had to make sure. Yeah, no, it's
if your
fire.
nose is working, I think you'll recognize that type of a smell. So that's a white crossed with the Hindu clone.
Yep.
So you smell that, and it's like that's that Hindu Kush, old Bubba, Master Kush. So that's what my Hindu is. If you wonder, like people wonder, well, which one is it? It's the old clone. It's older than OG.
This is the one people ask for,
That's
though. When
the
they ask
80s
for
one.
one, this is the one they're asking about.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is because it's the same thing with sour diesel. People keep asking, like, "Oh man, what happened to the sour?" And people say they got it, and I'm like, "Well, the whatever sour we were getting ain't the one that I've been seeing." And this is the one. This is the essence that they're talking about when they talk about Hindu and that deep Bubba. Yeah, this is beautiful, bro. This is. And so, what do you call this, Jackson? What is this?
That's white Hindu.
White Hindu.
Yeah, so that's the white. You know that clone.
Yeah.
And then that's crossed with the Hindu. And the Hindu is an 80s clone. It's
Shout
the oldest
out
clone
Florida.
that I have, you know?
Yeah, shout out Swamp Boy Seco, right? Swamp Boys for the white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cornbread
I just actually
Ricky.
gave Chrome a bunch of those
There you go.
seeds so that he could check them out.
Shout out Chrome, man. Yeah, we all actually came up in Orlando, bro, and the white was all over the place when I came up, and we had a cut called Presidential Kush that people always thought was the white, but we'd put them next to each other. And the white, the only thing it didn't have real prominent was a nose, right? But everything else was like crazy. The Presidential Kush was like this mothball Afghani funk. But yeah, the white was like, people would see that shit and go, bro. Like back in the day, that was like, oh, you want to charge some bread for some weed?
Yeah.
Grow the
You've never
white
seen
and
nothing
put
like
that
this.
in front of some people, and they would lose their mind. But them dudes have been, I remember they had the Orange Blossom Trail, and we had the Elvis from them, and they had the McFly. I remember way back we had a McFly. That was, yeah, bro, I'm a big fan of what they were doing. They were running Central Florida for a long while. It was fun.
Yeah. Hella cool. They've always been super cool. to me.
Yeah. How did you, man, can I ask a little bit about your background, Jackson? About it, like, how'd you get, because you obviously have the past. You're talking about friends and people you rub elbows with are all the main guys in the whole industry that are even tough for guys with passes to get around. Like you named Bodie. That's someone that a lot of people don't get to get in contact with, even that are, you just talked about Chrome. That's another guy. These are guys that don't even, their Instagrams are like posts they want to post, guys that they don't live off that. They don't. How'd you get into this? Was it family?
As far as just in like weed stuff in general,
Yeah, bro,
like,
was it-
yeah, just, you know, like coming from my area, there was like a certain amount of people who were there a lot of people moved up from Frisco, Santa Cruz to those mountains, you know, Humboldt, Mendo, all the people who were like, you know, like hippie adjacent, kind of like, you know, get out of the city. I want to go live in the country. They get there. There's like, no, not really jobs. There's not any way to live up there. It's like, okay, well, it turns out we can't just live here and not have like gas to drive to town. Like people started realizing like, oh, you got to grow some weed and you'll be all right, you know? And so, you know, there was a lot of people who grew weed there. And so, you know, early out, like I learned from family, like just, you know, about plants in general on a super small scale. I don't come from like a balling weed family or anything.
Yeah, because you're younger than I thought. I thought Mean Gene, before I knew what he looked like off of pods.
I get that a
I'm
lot,
thinking,
yeah.
this guy's got to be like a 55, 6-year-old dude who's
Yeah.
been up in Humboldt coming down off the mountain, you know? But
Yeah.
that's why I asked about your background, because like you're so deep into it for being so young.
It's from having started so young. So, you know, it's like I'm saying like that dirt big bud where I'm like, oh, I got these these and I gave them to my mom and she cloned them for me, you know, like back in the day. I was like, yeah, I was like 13 and a half or something. You know what I mean? When I started collecting cool seeds, you know, I was a kid. So it's just that, you know, when things are, and it's funny because it sounds crazy because of how we perceive weed, but it's like, it's a plant. Like, it's just like the rest of the plants. Like, you know, like people are so afraid of it. It's like nobody's kid wants to eat a plant, you know?
Yeah,
it's just not a thing. It's like, no, it's just a plant. It's okay. Have the plant around. But so I was around plants. And so that's how, you know, I got into that. But it's like I was saying, I had to meet people who, you know, opened up about like the finer points. Because it's like everybody just had some plants and cool, it's some pot and maybe it'll help you get some gas for your generator, whatever it is. But it's not like this thing where people know a lot about it. Just enough like, how do I grow it? How do I get some? And what do I do with it? It's just this thing, you know, like a lot of crops are for, you know, a lot of people, a lot of different, you know, some people grow whatever different species of plants to be farmers, gardeners. But then, you know, like meeting up with people who were more interested in the details, then that opens it up to where then I was really, really into it. And that's, you know, that's the start is
That changes everything.
From, you know, yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference when you see someone go down the rabbit hole and you go like, oh, this is a lifelong thing versus like a thing. I'd love to talk a little bit about your presence and you being here and you coming down with these two characters.
This is my manager.
And
This is my manager, Tasso Tech Life. He's the world's finest producer. He's the world's second baddest DJ, but he's the world's baddest producer. He's the world's greatest manager.
Nah, man.
He's just keeping me on point. He made sure I didn't eat too much carbs this morning, so he gets his 20% of everything. And he's just he's the man, you know.
Yes.
This is Tasso.
Yes.
Everyone needs that in their life.
But it's a really hip gang to, you know, roll with because yesterday he was actually the manager. So
I'm these guys' manager. So what we do is I'm the manager of their band, right? But Tasso is my man. He's my road manager for podcast.
Jesse's
road
my
trips.
life coach for the past 5 years.
He's my spiritual advisor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying, man? This is what's going on. Yeah.
I can see you guys playing people in Hollywood. They'd really think you guys are like the Guns N' Roses coming through and shit. Like I swear they'd be if you guys played.
Sure.
Coincidentally, we're on our way to Hollywood after this, just for that.
Hell
We're motioning forward.
I'm gonna get these guys a record deal, you know, because that's just only
Tasso's
right.
actually so deep.
No,
He
man.
knows everyone. He's just wild.
He's really is a music
We were
guy.
actually going to put a CD together and write for executives only, no interns, but listen, please. And just, you know, go shop it around, see what happens.
I
live
always
the
thought
dream.
about a breeding project where it came with an album. I'm probably giving this away. Someone's going to take it.
Oh, shit.
Is it? Yeah, it said it's
Yeah.
music to plant seeds to.
Oh my
And-
god! This is like what we were talking about last night too.
That
It's
was-
And
really
then
hilarious.
you would use frequencies, obviously, in the music. Obviously, it needs to be good music. It can't just be fucking nonsense. But you use some type of melodic where you're like, okay, these certain frequencies actually are good for plants. And
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, yeah, you'd press it on vinyl. Then you wouldn't do a fucking CD. You know, in my head, I'm going, I'm a vinyl guy. I have a huge
vinyl,
collection.
dude, yeah.
And then I'm like, I think it's also a little quirky to make people buy a. I love that making people buy a fucking a record player. Like,
And
yeah,
have it
bro,
out
if
in
you
your
want, you got
farm or
to,
in the
bro.
grow room.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, you plant seeds, you
important
better
places.
do. Let's do this too, man. Let me.
Yeah.
It's like making the industry eat their vegetables a little bit. Sometimes when you.
Oh yeah. So we first step is you got to get the turntable, and then you don't have to be reliant on hand watering, but you gotta ceremonially hand water occasionally. You know what I mean? Just so that you can get there, so that you can grow some analog dope. Because we're sick of smoking
Analog.
digital dope. Nobody wants to smoke that digital dope.
It's
Are you
true.
mechanical or are you organical? You know, you gotta have the right terminology for
Let's
these
have
things.
Tasso let us. Everyone
Yeah, give us the rundown, man.
No, I'll keep it short.
Yeah.
Just Tasso from the Mighty Tech Life crew, shout out. It is the highest honor to be on this podcast alongside my brothers, Mean Gene, Jackson, Jesse, Biovortex. I don't even like saying their names that everyone says because we're so cool like that. Like, it's just my brothers. We hung out, drove down last night, and they just had all this cron, right? And it's overwhelming. People ask me all the time. They're like, so what the fuck do you guys like talk about? Like, what's going on? I'm like, we just smoke and laugh and just talk shit, play. We're all big music heads. So I think it goes way beyond the smoking and the social part of the weed thing. There's no back end business deals. We don't have any grubby paws. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just for the love of the game, for the love of the trees, for the love of the music.
Yeah.
And that's
And when
kind
you
of what
talk
we've been
music,
ciphering
though,
on.
is it music? It's the love of music. When you talk about, you guys play instruments, you guys do what do you say?
Yeah, I play a fuck ton, dude. I play guitar, bass, drums.
This guy's got mastery, you know what I
I've
mean?
DJ'd in 50 countries in all 6 continents and
Epic.
played, some pretty crazy places. And, rest in peace, DJ Rashad. Shout out Spin. The Tech Life crew is, we're big on we have one of our most well-known tracks. I don't want to be that guy.
No, I love to hear it, bro. Put me
I'm not
on.
trying to say, it's called Pass That Shit. And it's literally a whole track about just smoking trees.
Love it.
And I just think it's so fucking crazy that in 50
All over
countries.
the world, you see people just going crazy when it hits.
I ain't
dude.
trying
It's
to.
fucking nuts.
I'm not trying to say me. I'm not gonna dry snitch live on this or whatever. But I know somebody else that smoked in 50 countries, all over the fucking world. And that is another high honor to not only just burn cron here. And I like what you were saying. I was kind of tapping in back. You're like, this is unrelatable weed that you smoke with Jesse and Jackson. It's like you can't put your thumb on it. You can kind of, like he said, go back and be like, this might have an ancient relative to that, and this might have a nostalgic notion to this other aspect of it. But just to be just flooded in this table full of weed is I wish other people, and I keep telling them that I think it's really silly, but not to digress, I really wish everyone else could smoke like this, right? And that's kind of our whole thing when we hang, is we always try to think about, and we call everything cron. Like, this is cron, that's cron. We just don't even want to get too wordy. The cron crew, right? And that,
conference calls.
we have conference calls. This is actually a conference.
Is a conference right
We
now.
weren't even calling it podcast on the way down. We're like, we're running late for the conference. Holy shit. We're always just trying to find a way to catch a big laugh about it. But again, the reason why I'm here is, brothers, I stand by their side. These dudes go up against the system long time ago. Before it's like a cool look to do that. These people stand up for equal rights, fair play. Jesse, the film that he mentioned earlier that I got to do music on. I really just want to speak about that music right now.
No, please talk about it, bro.
That music really bonded not only us, but it introduced me to him, right? That film was a very big part of, keep getting us through COVID was a crazy
That's one of my
time.
favorite art projects ever.
Yo, we got
Being
through
on the phone
COVID
with
through that shit.
Tasso,
Yo, it was nothing else to do. We were locked
all the
down.
time, coming down here, going in the studios.
He's in his garden just doing his thing, selecting.
Joseph Lineberg studio.
Yeah, shout out Joseph Lineberg,
Mario
the legend for
C.
Mario.
Like, you got 2 Grammy Award musicians
Wow.
onto the soundtrack. He
Matt
composed
Honeybee
every
Little,
song
keys.
based off of the ideas, the feel.
Yeah.
Worked it was
all while smoking the cron that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's some other shit to talk about as a musician. I would love to, AB, whatever the jars that, you know what I'm talking about, candy gases, this and that. I'm not going to downgrade. I love that shit too. I'm not going to ever downplay it, but you give somebody a table full of this, a table full of that, I guarantee by the end, you're going to have a mixture. You're going to divide a lot of people up that came in thinking one thing and the other. So for me, I've always thought that herb that's grown in the earth, in the sun, the wind, by people who love and respect the land that it's on and protect it and literally live by it. You're going to smoke that, or are you going to smoke some new dude in a warehouse who don't know fuck all? And you're going to expect that you're going to take that to a studio, right? And make music for people? Man, I'd rather smoke the iiriest, headiest shit all day, every day, like you and me. When we met and shook up and we just started looking at stuff. I mean, you showed some stuff, they showed some stuff. I mean, it's all, at the end of the day, medicine. It's all good for you. It all helps people in all different ways. And I actually saw a quote. I didn't grab my phone because, like you say, no, I'm like you. I don't like to do it. But for like a thumb size amount of honey, speaking of bees and pollinators, right? Like less than a tablespoon, I think it's about 12 bees make that much in their lifetime, right? And in that, I'm not, check my figures. I'll check my phone, and I feel really dumb, but it's like 1,300 different species of flowers are selected through it, and there's like a number of 30,000 altogether combined total of like varietals that they specialize in flying to and going collecting, coming back and making only this much. So I feel like if somebody is as lucky as that, like I fucking know exactly what when they give me the herb, exactly what it's gonna do. just based on the way that it looks, smells, feels from the outside going in. Just imagine just like one of those aerial animals coming right down for it, you know? So I appreciate my brothers growing the best shit. I'll definitely co-sign that.
I love
on
that.
Tech Life, on my life, on my soul, dude. I don't care what anybody says. He's a great family man, and this dude is like my brother and taught me so much about being a stand-up guy too. So it's like, it's a big honor being by them. Sorry to go for the deep dive and flim-flam that way, but if we're talking music, they've inspired my music more than musicians.
That's sick. We just had Karma Glass on, and Karma brought up a cool point that kind of parallels that. He said, we're all throwing like fire onto the human campfire. And he said, a lot of times we'll see all these fires up on the hill. Everyone started their own fire. And when things get real scarce and scary, he's like, you see some people come back around the main fire and we all start. And I feel like that about genetics, that we see people weave out and do other things. And then when we see the industry like where it is now, you see people coming back together. And it's the same thing with this. Like, genetics is at the center of this whole industry. I'd like to ask you guys, do you think big ag takes us serious?
I honestly think, like, in general,
does it matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
But I think that in general, like, anybody who's more than casually involved with weed to the average person is totally fucking crazy. Yeah. I don't think that, like, people think like we're normal people. I think a lot of people, like, society, like normal, whatever, they're like, oh yeah, even if they think like, oh, weed's cool, whatever, if they're to listen to us, they're like, what? Like, there's a whole, it's probably a small percentage, but I'm sure there's like a certain amount of people who look at anybody who's really that involved with weed and they're just like, who are these junkies? You know, like, it's just, these people this is the dregs of society, you know, and don't understand it how we understand it, where we're like, no, this is actually like, this is a
Big
really
ag is the one that's
elevated
crazy.
thing.
Like, they're the ones that are destroying the planet. Like, you know, they're the ones that are taking animals and treating them in that terrible way, and taking the soil and treating it that terrible way. And the film actually goes into that. That's one of like the things behind it, showing the difference between that relationship. And Tasso, like, with the sound on that, like, really, it hits so much harder because there's these dark
Blade
soundscapes. There's
Runner
that, it's like, we got that kind of like feel for the big ag moments that just put you in that. When we did the premiere at the ATL, we got the biggest boo when it showed both like industrial ag and then glass house and all that, and then the big
room full of growers just
when
booing, like
Source
throwing
Gardens
tomatoes and shit.
clipping the like most beautiful flower, and you hear the clip and like you just see it and everyone's just like, yes, and started clapping. I want to smoke that. Fuck that other shit. And like, it was just the biggest boos and cheers, and the music and scape had so much to do with that. And like the beautiful cinematography mixed with that. And like in the beginning too, there's this moment where you're just showing the most beautiful flowers at Radical Herbs, and then it hits onto a cherry lime dog too, this flower, and Tasso hits the moment just like bam, and like everyone just is like, yes, when they see that flower, when it hits with the right music buildup and everything. And
that's
just
dope.
those soundscapes and that art being attached to the flower, the music, like, it's all culture, food,
music and weed have been
weed,
intertwined.
all these things need to be connected to community.
Yeah, music and weed, it goes hand in hand. I mean, it's for forever, since way back. I mean, with what you guys are both doing, how did music get wrapped up in it?
I don't know, man. Like, music is it's trippy. That's why I was saying in the beginning, there's only so many things that are like endless for interest. So right now, if me and you go, dude, I'm gonna be like, Lance, let's listen to every song.
Right after you smoke, like, what are you gonna do?
You can't listen to every song. So if you're interested in music, like, you can spend your whole life going from song to song to song. And then it's like, if you only wanted to listen to a tiny bit of every one a single time, you could get through a lot of the music on the earth. But once you find something you really like, you listen to it a lot of times. And then it's like, well, that was all time. So it's just another one of those things. It's like with music, food, weed,
art,
nature, art, humans, animals, all plants, all of everything that's going on in nature, like, there's these certain studies that there's a lot to them, and they all kind of fit that description. In music, if you're a music lover, like I was telling Jesse, there's only so many people who, when they hear something, it really hits them, they can get goosebumps from it. There's a word for it. I can't remember it, but there's actually a certain reaction that some people can get. And it's only a certain percentage of the population. It's like there's some people who have different tongues, like 15, 20% of the population are super tasters. And to them, everything's different than it is to everybody else. And there's not that many of them, so you don't realize it. And a lot of them don't realize it. And they wonder why they don't like things, because they're like, they eat cheese and it's like, tastes like death to them. And it's like a normal person, like, that's cheddar cheese. And they're all, it's like what normal people smell as being like some horrible funky cheese that no one wants to eat. Right. So like with music, it's like, if it resonates with you, then I mean, you're just going to love it, And if you really love music, then you're just going to want to you're going to want to dig through music. You're going to want to play records, dig through on YouTube, wherever you're at, and make stuff. And it's just, being around music. If it hits you, like if you're a person where music hits you, then, you gotta have more of it, and that's the whole thing of, everybody wants to have some enjoyment in life. And a lot of what the enjoyment is, like they say, variety is the spice of life. It's like music is so varied. You can always find new music. Weed, if you really get in there, you can really find. That's why it's like when there's only a few popular things, I'm like, that's cool. But like I said earlier, you hit the wall. And in music, you never hit a wall. It's like food. You might think you hit a wall, and then you discover you're like, oh, you had so-and-so's food from that whatever genre of whatever it is. We went to an Indian place last night that was like, everything was closed. The only place open. Yeah.
Shout out to Taj Cafe.
Yeah, it was fire. They deserve a shout out.
I told the guy I'd give you a good review. I told you I'd give you a good review. He gave me 2 desserts, cardamom rice pudding player. Oh, shit.
But
good Terps is good Terps.
Oh,
it was fire, dude.
And then guess what? Yo, the hipster bar was like, nothing else is open. Go to this happy spot. It was called, that was closed too. How come no one said Taj Cafe? Anyway,
couldn't believe nobody recommended it. We just walked into the best restaurant in Venice for sure.
Yeah.
Organic masala, dairy free.
You could tell immediately, like the ingredients are good. It's not just Cisco all mixed up with different. It was like real spices, just amazing.
Yeah, some things, some things are big categories. You can dig and dig,
And it mimics food. It's like the same thing as if you talk to a beer brewer, a guy who really does small batch craft brew, and you start to go down that rabbit hole about yeast expansion and different microbes and how many days this takes to do that. And then if you use this, it ferments differently. And people would look at him the same way. They'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then they have the drink and they go, God, this is phenomenal. It's like, it was aged in a barrel for 4 years and they transferred into that barrel. Then they off-gassed it. Then whatever the fuck had to happen. But it's the same thing as a phenomenal product at the end is appreciated.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of details. You have to really look at a lot of details, and you have like this, everything that's really good. It has this story of these things that went into it and all these places where you took the right turn and not the wrong turn, and, music's like, everything is like that has a quality. And if you like, if you like good things, then it's hard to not get into food and music. That's kind of universal. And then once a lot of times people discover weed, it's like, hey, I always thought like it'd be cool if there was like a drug that had no effects other than you could take it and you could listen to your favorite song again for the first time. To be like, because you can never hear it again for the first time. But if you could, it would be an incredible feeling. It'd be like, bam, bam. But it's trippy because when you smoke weed, sometimes it's like that. You could get really fucking high on weed and all of a sudden like eat whatever thing it is. You're like, I've never had this before. I got way too stoned smoking this Yeska OG in my house, and I'm sitting at the table and I'm chewing something and I'm going, this is amazing. I can't remember what it is, but it's incredible. That's when I know this weed's really strong. I'm like, damn, it's so good. It's sweet. It's savory. It's got texture. There's a little crunch, but it's soft. And I'm sitting there and I'm chewing it up and I eat the bite and I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous. It's like when you can't remember what's the name of that thing and you can't let it go. I was like, I don't want to ruin it by going and seeing what the hell's in the kitchen. I'm like, what did I just eat? Because this is fucking incredible. And I walk into the kitchen eventually because I can't fucking remember. It's 2 minutes later or whatever, felt like 10 minutes. I'm so high. I go in there and it's ribs. It was a piece of a barbecue rib. And it was like, oh, that's why it had so much different weird things. I'm like, there's like this spicy component and it's fatty and rich, but it's got a little crisp to it. And I can't fucking remember. I just grabbed it in the kitchen a couple minutes ago. But that's almost like the equivalent of having something that'll make you have something for the first time. It's like, it's the dumb thing from like Half Baked. Have you ever done it on weed?
Yo,
it's like, it really is for real.
Have you ever
know?
driven at night through Ventura with Biovortex and Mean Gene on weed on a Sunday night when ain't shit going on but ice raids and shit? Let me tell you what the fuck going on.
Yeah, it was you guys in ice raids.
Yo.
This
What the fuck
cop
do
ran
we
in
smoke?
front of us, and he's like, "Oh, you know, go
Maybe share
Double
one
limes.
story
It
of
was the double
smoking
limes.
cron.
He's like, it's 3 dopers.
Yeah. Worse. And so, what the hell do we smoke?
Double limes.
Yeah, it was that double
Got high
limes.
school high.
High school.
You know what I'm talking about? Sorry,
Yeah.
screaming, but like,
No,
I
it's
got
true.
high school high yesterday. I haven't been that high since I was like 17. Dog.
A lot of this
I
stuff,
shouldn't
that's
have been
literally
behind
what
the
we were saying.
vehicles. I shouldn't behind the
it's
wheel
cool,
of the
you know?
vehicle, man.
Yeah.
It was- I was literally, and then I got right to, smoked a square, a little cigarette, brushed it off, got some fresh air. I was like, all right, let's go get some fucking food. And then we're like, mobbing down this street. I ain't gonna say where or what, totally legal because I was sober at this point. This is precisely 18 hours later. I looked at my watch, which is at 4:20. It stopped working, but it was anyway. So let's keep this shit player, like bust a right. But guess who's crossing the street at night after what looked like a very suspicious pullover in a liquor store parking lot? I'm just gonna call it like I see it, right? A cop, right? And they're gonna shout out, letting him go is the scariest thing, because then he looks at me, bald head, driving all like. And then them and us.
These guys.
I don't know what the fuck kind of music was playing. He was like, he's looking gagged out.
Three beers and headlights.
The expressions, that was the
Hungry as
suspicious
shit.
thing, was the
Yo.
expressions, of the...
Had the worst munchies too, man. Anyways, everything was closed. The guy who got right behind us, dude. I'm doing
right
20.
in the car,
I'm
yeah.
doing 25. The Fetty's doing like 40.
He looked busy, though.
And then all of a sudden I bust a left and he just stayed there. And I looked up at my ancestors and I go, hell yeah. Cause then I told them, I go, you guys got some good ancestors too, man. That shit was heat. And like, honestly, I ain't gonna lie, there was like 6 cop cars just on the street. I shouldn't have taken her right there, but I was looking at GPS.
The GPS was on my phones was saying the next right. It was like, damn.
You know what's funny is
That's the strongest weed I've smoked
Yeah.
all year.
You
So
must have
far.
found the only
So
cops
far.
because like it's lawless down here. Like you were either in Hollywood
Ventura.
or in Venice.
Ventura.
Yeah. Because there are no cops anywhere else. It's fucking crazy
it's
out
like
here.
Amsterdam
Coming
out
from
here,
the
man.
East Coast in New York or anything, like it's a police state compared to this, where you go like days without. Like I tell people, like, man, we would be driving with packs allegedly. And like you were gonna have
18 hours later.
but you were gonna have a cop behind you. There's so many of them in Florida, that like, no, this is gonna happen, bro. And it's not this time, it's every time you leave the house with these, you're gonna have, so
That's how it is where I'm from, yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So like people don't know. I got out here and not to say, but it's just like, dude, where are all the cops? Like, it's lawless out here. This is the fucking Wild West. And they mean it when they say that. And that's why, I travel anywhere else and I go like, wow, dude, you're on your own out here. It's definitely, and you feel like that up north too, where you're like, dude, the more you drive, the more you realize how big Cali is and how many people are tucked up in the hills and everywhere around here. And just interesting, man. And I love to expose the average consumer to this, to like the different lifestyles you guys all have coming together, you guys coming together. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing, this world, because like it parallels whatever you're into. If you're into Legos, it parallels that. You know what I'm saying? There are so many parallels to passions that this is just something that you guys found that I think is so special and endless. It's hard to find other things like cannabis, and we're in an infancy. Like to think where this is going to go in 50 to 100 years, where there's as many smoke lounges as there are liquor stores and bars. What's that look like?
Yeah.
Well, it's been going on for thousands of years, and it is incredible. Like the relationship, ropes, like canvas for sails. Like we wouldn't be sailing anywhere. Yeah. We wouldn't have like the same kind of like seed production, the food qualities of that. Like it's one of the only plants that's everywhere on this planet too. Probably even Like, and dogs are the other thing, that mutualistic combination, that evolution that went with both. There's probably somebody down in Antarctica right now that has a grow like tent going while they're doing a research study, and they got their pack of dogs, and there's no other organisms that are in every other place like that. You know, it's
who's going to grow the plant in the space station, bro? We want to know who's going up there to do the first one.
All of the medical things that we've seen, it helped with addiction, it helped with AIDS, it helped with cancer, it helped with just all
mental
kinds of
health,
things.
mental illness,
health,
yeah.
Like just being able to eat, being able to laugh, like all these things. Like it's just such a giving plant. It's infinitely giving plant.
Todd McCormick came on. He had an interesting explanation about the amino acids that are in hemp seed and in the seed, and that he thinks it had something to do with the evolution of the brain.
It could.
And that the certain amino acids it takes to actually build brain power are in the cannabis seed. And he's like, let's say we consumed it for thousands of years like we did. What's that do to a brain on an evolutionary scale? Like some really interesting things that came up in that pod. And I was like, with Robert Clark. That was with Robert Clark and Todd I had on. And that was a really fun one because it's like, shit, I never even thought of that. Yeah, maybe that is something. When you do this work, Jackson, and also Biovortex, like, are you guys thinking about legacy, or is this just something you guys are doing because you are passionate about it? Or do you think about the legacy you're going to leave behind, like the chapter in cannabis you leave?
Well, the art project I kind of do as Biovortex, part of that idea is that I'm constantly making ripples or putting something out there, and hopefully it's a positive thing into the universe, and that somebody will be inspired, or somebody will grow a seed or a plant or have a positive experience with that will then pass on to something else. And so making as many of those kinds of positive ripples through that work as possible, like somebody's mom doing better with cancer for something, somebody writing me like, hey, Black Dog helped me quit opiates. Like those are huge, or somebody in the audience at the Emerald Cup and have no idea about regenerative agriculture, but super into cannabis. And all of a sudden they're thinking about, whoa, like, water, how do you keep it clean? Thinking about our watersheds, thinking about building soil, composting, feeding a community, thinking and how that moves on to human rights in general, animal rights, and treating all beings with respect, and knowing that like we're all one in that kind of way. And so like, yeah, I want all the seeds to have a legacy of some kind of positive thing that keeps rippling. And I love like when other people breed with them and continue on. The fact that Green Source Gardens, who I love, is like doing that, like Stay Fly, all these different farms that are continuing breeding with something and putting it out there. Seeing Moon Made Farms growing certain things that I have kind of fit for Tina, and seeing how people have awesome experiences with those, and just how it lives on, and living in all these different places and seeing the seeds grow all over the world and at some of the best farms, and being able to walk through acres of seeds that you worked on. Like it's just such an amazing feeling. So yeah, I'm always thinking about just how can you put out positive ripples of change.
Yeah. But like, it's like we were saying earlier with like the objectives versus goals. It's like he's talking about there's all these little things and they're all cool. It's like, yeah, the legacy is going to be, everybody's legacy is like, it just is what it is. It's going to be what it is. You can't really invent a legacy. You just have to like do things that you know are good things to do. And then eventually your legacy will be what it is. Like you could, it depends too. There's the aspect of like the natural legacy, which is inherent in what we do. Like there's things that were preserved that might've died. The coolest thing for me, the best thing that I think I could ever do is to make sure that these plants that might have like, cause the genetics, I was talking about the way the value is it's just there. They naturally are valuable, right? Mm-hmm. It's crazy because it doesn't exist like anything on the table. If I just gave up before I gave them to anybody else and a few years goes by, like, a few might be 15 or 20 or whatever, but it's all shot and it's all gone. And if people don't keep on trying to maintain the real legacy is the legacy of the plant, right? The plant has a legacy that will never be able to be undone. Like no matter what, it's like you said, like cotton is an American plant. Before that, the whole world ran on hemp, right? So all the oldest textiles, all that stuff, it's all comes from the cannabis plant. And like the only reason why it's alive is because somebody made, seeds. They don't just make themselves. It's not just going to be there. Oh, don't worry, guys, it'll be there. It's like, no, it's not. The clones that you love are probably gone. The seeds you love are probably gone. And whatever's still around, it's like everybody's got to keep trying to keep that around. But for me, if I have any impact on anything that was positive, the main thing is like that there were these things that would have disappeared and I was able to keep them alive, and other people will get them and maybe do the same thing. And then, like he said, doing something that helps people. If you could be remembered for doing something where like somebody had a better day because they went and watered that, because it's not all about the bag. A lot of it is also about what's sitting there growing and you're taking care of it. It gives somebody to take care of. Your plant becomes like your pet and you have that. And now you try to be a better person because you want to be able to have a better outcome. And that's like a little window into how you really want to behave if you can. Like everything is mutual. Like everything needs to be fair. It's like your plant, you can't just fuck over your plants and have it work out. And then if you can let that teach you something about life, that's good. So those little things like that, I think are like, for people like us, that's like, that is the top of the potential of our legacy, is like having people be able to have like a benefit from the plant. And then first, before you can get the benefit from the plant, you need the plant. And the plant doesn't just live. It's like, no, we've adopted it. It's like, you can't just, everybody, I hear people talk about like dog breeders, like everyone needs to stop breeding dogs. I'm like, do you know where dogs come from? Like you can leave the ones out that are doing what they're doing and you'll have dogs, but like dogs are special, and the gifts that dogs have is really special. And if you don't breed them, then you don't have whatever that breed of dog is anymore. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the same thing. It's like how we look at with weed. Yeah. I mean, I'd rather, my own take on weed is that it should be like, hobby and up to the horticultural level of like, oh, there's some plants here, but like the deal of like big ag production of weed, I don't believe that it's a product that fits that model. And I don't even think that any crops should be grown like that. But in certain cases, you can figure out good ways to, produce rice on an agricultural level, to produce these certain things. It's like people need that. But with weed, it's like just giving people more access to more weed that is maybe good enough or whatever. It's like, that's not what weed really is about. Weed should be something where when you get your hands on a sack like this, you're like, damn. But now it's got to the point where people are like, yeah, I bought it at fucking $18 at the dispo and it kind of sucks, but whatever. And that's not the vibe for weed, It's not. And food and everything's not supposed to be like that.
Man, that is such a good take, bro. Is that we're so concerned about what big ag's going to take from us. And it's like, yeah, there are products that aren't meant to just scale unlimited. I have yet to hear anyone give that take, and I love that, bro.
And in big ag for scaling up, like if you want to scale it up, I think if you scale it up, you could do it really cool if you made sure that you're not depleting like traditional like hemp fields. Like you can grow fields and it produces so much biomass that if it goes back down into the ground, you can enrich the soil. Wow. If you're only pulling out the stems and taking the fiber from them, right? So it's trippy because there's like all this stuff, people like, oh, hemp, but then they grow it for CBD. They like throw away what the plant produces, but the plant itself, if you get rid of all the drugs, is incredible. And it's full of resources, and you can grow it and you can make more soil off of so much leaves on this giant thing. Like that all goes back to the ground. You're not depleting anything. It's actually going to like wind up building soil, Mm-hmm. But if you just cut it all down and remove it all and replant it, which is what most people are doing with our soil, then that becomes a thing where it's like, okay, now it's negative, but you should be able to do the same thing at the same scale with slightly different techniques for weed. And be able to go, okay, yeah, no, this is great. Let's use the ag aspect to grow hemp so we can make plastic and hempcrete and all the cool hemp stuff because people are just throwing away all this stuff. And I'm like, you guys are taking the drugs and you're leaving like the whole product is still there. This is hemp, right? Like, so I think the ag's great for like the hemp aspect. And then if you want like some high grade weed, like that should kind of be done by somebody who's close to the plant, and it's not just this big field, because I think right now people are probably already producing like a surplus of weed almost, or they, I don't know if there's definitely, but we're close to it, if not. And then it's like, well, but it's not even, that's not even the weed people want. So maybe have a little bit less and have it be an enjoyable product, you know?
Man, I like that. I like that take. What would you say is, because so many guys in there have been growing for so long and want to get into breeding or are breeding. What would you say is the key to breeding?
I think doing things with art and doing it with love and putting like your intention to do something that like is just you being creative and you putting something positive. One of the objectives I also have that meant to mention earlier was, is I want to do things that help small farmers be successful too. If the work of like genetic is more washable, I do that with the pens too. Like if I can say like this is going to yield well in ice water hash and that's their objective, and I help set that up and the plant does well and performs well, they get high yields, that helps that all work out. And if that's happening with farms that are doing the right kind of work for the environment and community, then that's like a huge deal to have that a genetic actually help unlock that kind of potential. So any way to like have small farmers like be more supported is definitely always a objective and goal. Like going to the farmers market with how you get your food, like connecting with the farms that you know or have the kind of practices, and also just doing it yourself, like growing plants in your backyard and having that connection, because just growing a plant is so much therapy. Just watching it, the amount that you learn about science, biology, nature, the aromatherapy that happens each day, the fact that you might sit there with your coffee and just stare at this plant and put your love into it, and that quality comes out like for sure. I have no doubt that there's a connection, that energy and that you put into growing anything, but something about cannabis specifically, like it just gets you really excited and connected to a plant, and you want to see how it does every day, and excited to see how that flower produces, and then that flower is giving something to you and beyond. So just keeping the art in it, keeping that craft, that love, and that intention, whatever you do, that it's not about these other base things. I mean, you have to pay the bills, you have to make sure that things work and all of that, but that should be secondary to the goal of like making art.
Because there's so many guys listening and they're wondering like, man, what are these guys doing? From their perspective, what's the key to breeding, you know?
You want to basically like, it's really just paraphrasing what he's saying, but you want to come from like your own, you know, everybody has whatever you want to call it, a spirit, soul, whatever it is. There's that thing where there's like the real core of like who you are, which comes out in like what really resonates with you. Like which weed do you like? That has something to do with you, you know, when you really like it. And when you breed stuff, you want to breed what you really like. So like if you do that, then, you know, to really figure out what you like, also, you got to educate yourself about which plants are which, try different things, and then you discover things that you do like, but it's whatever you like, as opposed to, you know, some people are trying to breed and they're like, oh, don't get me wrong. You can breed for whatever is your goal. But if you want to make something that is like special or unique or new, or you know, you're going to need to like come from yourself, because that's where that comes from, right? But I mean, you can do things in just in a sense of a utility where it's like, okay, all we're doing is we're taking this and we're making it bigger. We're just taking this and we're making it stronger. There's nothing wrong with that. That's breeding too. But like that stuff only gets you numbers. That's just all breeding like for numbers. And that's cool. That's like some people can do. What's really cool is if somebody takes something that I have that has this great thing and they go, oh yeah, that was good. But you know what? It had this one thing. So I did this. And now they made something with that, which is what I did to get where I was. They just took it another step. So like I tell people, if you've got my stuff, like go ahead and pick what you like out of it. Breed it further pure. Like, I don't care if you're making improvements or you're making it stay alive. then it's a good thing, because it's just not, and all the stuff that I have, if I'm the only person that has it and I'm the only person who can do anything with it, like people get this weird ego trip where they think like they're going to outlive the fucking weed species. You know what I mean? They think they're going to outlive the earth, dude. That's the thing it's like, no, that's not how it works, guys. It's real simple math here. You're not going to outlive all this shit you're fucking up. You don't outlive it. So it's like, what are you doing then? Like you gotta make something, keep something good, and then give it to somebody else. That's like real simple. Like in most cultures, that's a heavier thing. Unfortunately, in our culture, we don't lean into that much. It's like all about like, what can I get for me now, and then use it all up, and how, and it's like, no, you just need to keep shit cool and pass it on, And so that's like the deal with breeding. There's the aspect of keeping it cool and passing it on. And then if you can improve it or make something new that's cool and pass that on, now not only have you not fucked things up, you haven't gone negative from zero, but now you're +1, you're +2, right? And now you're doing shit that is literally positive because something else happened. Whereas unfortunately, a lot of us are going to wind up, in a position where it's like, damn, a lot of what I'm doing, it's only extracting. I'm only taking away from things. It's not adding anything to anything. It's like, even when you're doing like you're doing what you're doing with this particular project, it's like, well, that is a storage of information. It's literally taking something and passing it on. Like that's like what this job, you have other jobs, this job here that you're doing with us right now, that's what you're doing. You're like, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to pass it to somebody else, and maybe they'll do some good shit with it too. And that's like what we're trying to do with the information we got from our lives. You hope that's what you're doing. And everybody wants to do that, but not everybody has the luxury of it. Not everyone's in a position to do it, or they don't like know that that's a thing because it's not really something they're exposed to. So, that plays out in everything, but like the breeding is a good analogy of it, because it's just kind of like, hey, let's keep what we got and let's add something good. And that's when you breed, that's the main core of what you want to do, is try to keep what you got, add something good. So preservation, improvement, but you don't have to necessarily make any fucking improvements. Everybody's so ambitious. I got to fucking improve. I got to improve all this stuff. It's like, no, you can be a little more zen about it if you want and be like, like I know Tom Hill, he's got haze. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing with it? He's like, I just plant a whole bunch of them and I make a whole bunch more.
That's right.
It's just an increase. It's an open pollination.
Sounds good,
I mean?
Tom.
Yeah.
You're on the phone. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
I hope your family's doing good. Yeah, that's
I got another
awesome.
piece of advice too. Don't let thinking you know something or just hearing something like stop your brain. Like sometimes I see like a little bit of like advice, or you think, and then you stop thinking about it. Cause oh, I know that. You don't let that happen, because patient observation is way more powerful than assumptions or what you heard from someone else.
Yep.
It's a mind killer when you definitely learn, take in from people, the osmosis and all that stuff we're describing, but like always just observe for yourself and keep that constant questioning mind. And like, because sometimes you learn the name of a plant and then, okay, I know that plant, instead of being like, well, how do they reproduce? Like, what's the pollinator for it? How do they interact in the soil? Like, there's just an infinite amount of questions that you might ask about a plant that sometimes just like learning a name, you might just turn it off, and just don't turn off that questioning and the observation over time. And I think that's something that's super powerful in Jackson. He has a brain that's just always thinking. He doesn't stop when he knows something, and he knows so much, it's like, and it just leads him to more questions, but he has all of that time of observation to then actually come to very good detective like conclusions but it's still this realm of probability and this willingness to continue thinking and just outside of a certain box. Those boxes keep us in these small places, and the true nature of reality in the universe are just so beyond that you got to keep asking questions and observing and moving in that direction.
Yep. There's always more to learn.
You think there's certain chapters in cannabis, right? Like we read about losing sour diesel, right? Like, oh my God, sour diesel's gone. We're never going to have it again. And then this is
Don't you have sour diesel with it?
yeah, I know, right? And it's this.
We got that.
I feel like it's this constant circle we're living though, where it's this fear of like we're losing the old, and it's like, well, then preserve it. And it's like, no, but we got to grow the runts. And so we're in this weird cycle of like some people can't figure out how to get out of it or anything. Do you have thoughts on like preserving old genetics versus the new and trying to, because like we've also learned like old strains don't grow the same 35, 40 years later as we're seeing with some stuff. And whether that's genetic drift, whether that's the bulbs are different, the nutrients are different, or whether that's like, yeah, man, this thing after 30, 40, 50 years, that plant does not grow the same. I don't know. I don't know which one of those it is or if it's all of them. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Just like what you're interested in and the ways that you see yourself as being in service of doing something, like do that. Everyone has a different way that they're doing that. And I think it's an awesome service. Just Jackson going down all the different line paths and all of the different things that just trigger his nose. That's great. Like, and the amazing work that Deepak's doing, like actually documenting each variety in each area and preserving the seeds straight from the field. And like he'll be in the field sending me, hey, this reminds me of Black Dog, and send me the seeds of this like beautiful purple Afghan growing wild, and just like seeing like, oh, maybe this would be cool if this goes to this person, and see what's born of that. And Tom Hill just making sure that haze is the way it is and not trying to improve, but like it's already wonderful. And Jason Equilibrium, like he's always just grabbing everything and making sure to preserve it. And like all these wonderful people have their different niche, like and Caleb and CSI, like selfing all these important plants and putting those out there. Everyone kind of sees that you get obsessed with certain things, or there's something that just you want to do those things and see how you can be as a niche service for the thing that you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it seems like something that would be good or be service of something in the future, or it's just what interests you, like, yeah, that's all a great path to go.
Do you believe in genetic drift? Do you believe that old genetics change?
In my experience, you can have a clone. If you keep clones good, like to me, they stay, like they all change a little bit. Like it's just the nature of the way DNA like codes into like the flesh of plants. It's really easy to have like a hiccup. It's really easy to basically, make the equivalent on the way the weed is, the equivalent of like a freckle, or you know what I mean? Just something a little different. It's like, this isn't technically like if these were twins, one wouldn't necessarily have this in the other. There's a little bit of stuff that pops up, the way that things respond to things, and they get stuck with that. So things do change a little bit. It's been proven.
Is that why
but
you
some
said
of it
though,
could be from other life? That could be a different bacteria or fungal relationship, the endophytes that are inside, pathogens that pick up, or other mutualistic relationships that might pick up, all would have an effect while the genetics were still the same, but there's different life that are kind of at genetics. The wheel, like exciting different things. You might have different hormone responses. You might have different systems and circulatory things all change based off of what biology has then come into the plant, and that can change over time, even if the clone would be the same.
Is there the only way to lock in a genetic is through selfing itself and saying, okay, I can at least put these seeds away for 15, 20 years? Or is it just the only thing constant is change?
It's definitely helpful to self things and make sure you put, like when I finally got the Hindu back, because I hadn't had it for a long time and I'd wanted it. When I got it back, the first thing I'm like, I need to get some reversal spray so that if I lose this clone, I have a bunch of seeds that are only that. And they'll be femmes, but at least I'll have a whole bunch of them. So that's how I wound up making all the cool Hindu crosses that I did with that, was just because I was like, all right, I got to keep that. But to me, the Hindu clone is still like the same Hindu clone it's always been, and it's from the 80s. So I don't think that you necessarily have like a whole lot of change that goes on, but there are small changes. And like he said, I mean, like all things like plants and animals take on a lot of outside DNA from things that infect them. They say that that's likely the mode of evolution that caused weed to produce THC was that it actually took on this little bit of DNA or RNA or something from this like virus that it got, and that in response to that, the plant started to produce a new molecule which it hadn't made before, and that went on to be like THC over years and years of evolution. That's a theory that I saw seemed to have some pretty good evidence to it, right? Like all of us right now sitting here, we're like whatever we are, we're like 10% human or something. We're mostly made out of DNA that we picked up over the years, and fungus. That's where a lot of evolution comes from and changes. They're not necessarily mutations. Everything incorporates all these things from these other life forms. It's how life works. Like we were looking at this moss. It's like a lichen. It's like a algae and a fungus, and they grow together and they make one organism, and it looks like a different species, but it's a combination of things, and it does kind of make a species. And you go, well, that's kind of how I guess everything works. It's just there. It's very simple, and you can prove it because you can tell what's in it. But we're all the same, but we just like you, by the time you map our genome, you go, oh, it's all human. But if you could see it over time, you'd go, whoa, that was like mosquito right there. Or that was this fungus, or that was it. Because we have a lot of stuff, and they've proven that scientifically that we're made of a lot of stuff that's not us. So you could imagine that like a sour could become a different sour because of, different things change them. But like the sour that I had, I got sour a little over 20 years ago. So I didn't have it like really early or anything.
No, but that tracks because the first time I had seen the sour that everyone's talking about was like 2010, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that like 4 or 5 year span. And like, that's the one that everyone's like, I miss it.
So that is like, I'd say that's grown like 70% as good as it could have been grown outdoor when I tried it. I missed the mark, nice. But if you really, like if you take that and you break it up and you smoke it, you'll go, shit, that's sour, you know, because it's an old one. You know, it was the one brought from Staten Island in the early 2000s or whatever. Yeah, no, hold that.
That's a great,
roll that one up.
Yeah. So, and then, so this is the one you use in your crosses?
I think that it's the same as the one that I had because it comes from Not So Dog, and he's from like right down the road. Like he's, all his stuff he deals with is all the old Mendo cuts. Dude, and I just had the one that I had. And also the dude he got it from is this guy from Staten Island, Gabby. And Gabby used to have a grow store in my town. And there's like only like 3 stores in the whole town. And there's not like any other weed shop. So I imagine he probably shared it. It probably is kind of how sour got there. But what's cool is I can ask him because he's available. Cool internet shit, right?
Structures there. So everything looks exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the stem being like super resinous.
Yeah. And if I had done it better, it would be better. I think that the plant is still good. I think it's kind of up to the grower. Like, I need to grow it better because I grew it before and I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's really it. And then I've shown this to a few people who grew the same clone and were like, nah. Then they smelled mine and they go, shit, that's the good one. Where'd you get that? And I'm all, that's the not so. They're all, shit, I grew the not so. Mine sucked. I need to try it more because
probably too much sun.
It just, it's a certain thing. They want the certain right kind of food and it has to go long. Yeah, you can take a sour 90 days and no one's going to do that.
We used to go 83 on it and it'd be like, yeah, fuck it. Some of it'll have a little bit of the hairs won't be finished.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like that's you, and it's like, yeah, okay, put the old HPSs up and give it a go. Then, if you really think that that's what it is, because that's what people are trying. And sure enough, I seen a home grower the other day with like old HPSs up, old school everything. He went and got like house and garden and shit, and like what I'm saying, just funny shit. Where you're like, he's like, I'm gonna give it a go with these old bubbas, but yeah, man, it's like so. What would be any advice you would give to someone in the industry who's trying to find their path, man? Because you guys seem to have found it pretty easily. If from the outside looking in, of like, this is where I want to go with my journey in cannabis.
I'm going to go with like, we were talking about lichin, and I just want to shout out lichin and the powerful role that shout out lichin. The role of mutualistic relationships between like we have a fungi, and we have photosynthetic bacteria together. And if you cut up lichen, you put it on a little water, put it on a slide under a microscope, you see the fungal hyphae floating around, and you can see the photosynthetic bacteria too. And they're just in there. And it's like kind of this housing for this relationship to happen. And the fungi can do all kinds of things to pull in minerals, to process things. They have the ability to produce enzymes and things that the bacteria itself cannot, but the bacteria has the superpower of being able to harvest energy from the sun. And all of our like soil and actually us even existing in our blood and our bones and everything kind of come from lichen and this relationship from happening on the earth. It was happening in the ocean and in different ways, but when it got onto the earth and growing on rocks, you just look at a rock with like orange and green and silver lichen all growing on that surface. The fungi is able to start working on that rock and with the enzymes, and it's powered by the photosynthetic bacteria. And so you have this energy to then make rocks break down and become part of an organic system, and that becomes soil. And this is happening over millions of years before there's life on here, but that mutualistic relationship between those two things. And so I liken that to a relationship with Jackson or with Tasso, where like you have the superpowers of music, you have the superpowers of observation and big brain and all of this time of doing stuff, and I have my own powers, and like all those together like do something more. So find those people and those things that you can be mutualistic with, and that unlocks the power of the universe.
That's great, bro.
Doug, you see now you see why I love smoking doobies with these guys. This is just like a normal convo. This is how it is, Doug.
I was riding along with that. I was going all over, and I was like, okay, wow. Yeah,
but it's like, you know, true love, true artistry comes in the form of, are you down with capitalism or not? Meaning, like, are you going to do this shit for money? Or are you going to do it for love? And that goes for music too. That's all I learned in my journey in fucking music. So I'll throw that on the line there. But these guys, I think,
I'd say
it's obvious.
Yeah,
it's obvious they love it more.
That general thing of like, if you want to do something. So like everybody has this system of like, that's in your body where there's things that you like and that you don't like. And you're like you're like an antenna, and it's like you pick up certain frequencies. And if you're like that thing comes in and all of a sudden you tune into that channel, you're like, oh wow, this is a good one. So then you're like, if you just want to stay with that, like you can feel this is the thing, you know, that's when you're like, whatever you want to call it, you know, going with the flow, moving with the spirit, all the different funny shit we say as we go through the day. Cause we've been like we came down here, we're like, we'll figure it out as we go. Right. You just kind of boom, you go here, you go here. This thing happens. You're like, oh, everything's closed. Oh, but we were going to go for some whatever little bar food at this kind of snooty spot we got sent to. Everything's closed. We wind up at this dope Indian restaurant. Like that's like, we're like, damn, that's some of the best food I've ever had. And it's like, oh, it's on accident. It's like, nah, actually you're kind of just don't going through it the right. You want to no, you're not eating that. You want to try to go with what is, you know, you want to figure out how to tune into that a little bit to go, all right, cool, you know, and not be trying, you know, you got to push, you got to hustle, but you don't have to like force things to, you know, like, I gotta fake it till I make it. I gotta get in where I fit in. It's like, no, you don't need to fit in, and you don't
anything.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Something.
Yeah, you don't need to force it, and you don't need to fake it. You don't want to. Those things don't help. You just want to like do just, you know, idea. You take a note out from the plants page and go, okay, this plant is existing. And it just kind of does what it does. And then it gets this thing. And it's like, well, you can do that too. You just have to do shit. But do the things that you want to do, and it's naturally going to push you in a good direction, because we can see everything physical, and not to get super woo-woo, but everything is actually really energy, and there is like resonance going on. And some things, like if you can follow them, then you'll have a good day. And if you have a good day followed by another good day, pretty soon you had a good fucking year, you know? And like, that's the same way with that. That's just like a run of weed. If you get a good veg day, a good flower day, damn, good drying day, good harvest day, good drying day, good trimming day, you're like, damn, this shit's crawling, you know?
You're still like next year.
Yeah. But it's always next year.
As good as in 2001 when I was growing the blueberry, but you start to,
A lot of things that I realized too on just a random, I saw some homie also say a very really real thing, that if you listen to early works of people, the music's never really 100% done. Stuff's about 75%. And honestly, there's no such thing as done, right? Perfection is in final form. Our final form is carbon. That's really done when you out of here, back in the earth. So chasing perfection and chasing all that. Once you eliminate the ego out of that, right? I don't know what happened though, but like when I started really tuning into, for example, these frequencies, right? I don't know if it was my CB1, CB2 receptor, my whole endocannabinoid system was just like pointing this way. It's like, this is the cron for life. And everybody deserves to find, right, like happiness on this earth, real shit. And everyone deserves to find the right medicine for them. And when it comes in the form of what's on this table right here, again, the motive is like, thank you for like even letting us speak on it, to be honest, but getting the message out that this is the cron of all crons. And they're homies too. I mean, the list goes on. Like we could spend 2 hours just talking about the people that have influenced them and the people who influenced me.
Shout out Rebel Grown.
Shout out
right now.
Dan, Rebel Grown, Ridgeline, Moonmate. Yeah. Shout
Double
out
OG,
Dan.
right?
Double OG
Isn't that
Cam,
Double OG
15,
Cam, all
the
that
Cron.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the
I can
Double
t-
OG Sour.
I like catalog shit in my head. That's why I like name associate. That's why I went with you. I'm like, oh, Black Dog. Cause like I name associate with you know, the Lime Line and like, yeah, all these guys, I used to sit back at Emerald Cup and like watch the booth, watch people go up to the booth, watch people buy seeds, watch them, watch, you know, just like to see like, what's this about? Go up, look at all the crosses, and you can you get a peep into someone's world because just by looking at the crosses they're working on, you're like, oh, this is interesting. I get what your drift is here. You know, like I missed so much of that about cannabis is the community. The real community, not the online stuff, the stuff where we would get together and all of us would be smoking and sharing and talking and genetics and next year. And then, get that clone from him. Hey bro, you need to meet my buddy. He needs to, hey man, like, hey bro. And then shit happening and actually working and you being like, hey bro, that guy you put me with, or hey bro, that clone that you got on my dude, that changed everything. Those little ripples like you're talking about that end up becoming big.
My favorite thing is like being at an event when people had got seeds the event before, like we're just at Terpnami and everyone came back and just hearing how good certain things did and them end up being your best, like, oh no, you got to go to him. I grew this. And that certainly happened a lot at the Emerald Cup and the Terpnami was super cool for that too. That was a really cool event. We were all hanging out too. And we went to a cool Pep Love show that was at a movie theater. And they ended up having a whole record store in the lobby that was so well curated. And just record shopping with these guys is so much fun. It's super, like, we all picked something really cool. And
more random shit though that just worked out. We're like, oh, should we go? Yeah, we're going to go. It's going to be cool. But we got to get food. And we were like, we thought maybe we missed it, but we're like, let's go anyway. We get there, we catch a chunk of it, and then we're like, damn, this is actually a really nice record store right out here. We wound up like getting to check off another thing that was a fun thing we could have done. That was like, it just
bought some records,
wound up here, going with the flow.
Shout out Hieroglyphics.
What's the next move for Biovortex? What's the next move for Mean Gene Mendocino as far as like, what's 2025 and 2026 holding? What are we looking forward to, right? We just ended this chapter and we're moving into the next. Like, did you plan this out last year? Where are we going from here?
Well, I'm stoked on these markers. This is a great way to kind of communicate the varieties I do. And the idea, like for me, I was inspired by the idea Harold and the Purple Crayon and how like he creates his own world with his art and his pen. And so like, I want these markers to be like that for other people and for myself. And I just got these ones that now say washable too. So the ones that I breed a lot for flowers, but I breed a lot for hash too. And so I want people to know if it says washable on here, that they can definitely freeze it and wash it. And it's not going down the drain. You're going to catch some awesome stuff.
I love that.
And just another way. And I do a lot of ice dyes. I was wearing that like ice dye earlier and people use the washable pens for doing tie dyes and stuff a bunch. And I was just looking at it like that's the perfect way to kind of communicate that
freshness, dog.
Yeah, I love the way and the way these ice dyes are done too. It's you have like the minerals like with the pigment and you put ice on it and it's time of dripping. And I set it up in a certain way so water is just moving through in gravity. So they're like ice gravity dyes. And so it's like kind of nature forming it. And I'm using the sun for the heat and all these elements are actually going into this thing. And it's beyond just like something that you could design. I'm setting it up so it's more like how rivers are formed or those kinds of like, cool. I want an organic kind of something that only nature, but using my own, I studied art for a long time, my own color and aesthetic sense, but then letting nature also do that work. And a lot of times that's my favorite stuff, and similar with the stuff inside these pens too.
Will you go over some of the crosses?
The little marker here.
Because your lines, like, you know, we talked about half of these, but let's go over some of the crosses, man, because I know some of your stuff, but I'm looking at this.
Yeah.
G-Mob 437 times Black Dog 2012.
Yeah, so that's the 437 was the G-Mob selection I was talking about. I made several with Dab Logic, but that was one of the ones that we were able to do individually, know that it yielded close to 8% in that specific plant, and has awesome qualities, has the flavor, grew really nice. There was about 5 different ones out of like several hundred that I just kept breeding with, but that 437 really continued to shine on. And the Black Dog 2012 is the Black Dog that was the founding selection that I first worked with Humboldt Seed Organization with, and it went out all over, worked with our partners in Spain. And so it really got out there. And then I got to see like Black Dog grown all over the world. There used to be, when Instagram still did it, the hashtag Black Dog Kush. And I made sure to put the Kush on the end, so it's not just a bunch of black Labradors and things like that. And that one, I was able to see there's tens of thousands of posts of Black Dog grown in different places. Now that's gone. You don't have that anymore. But anyway, so those are 2 special selections. And it's also like a 2012, like an old and very new kind of thing put together.
That's cool.
And the G-Mob is created already by selecting really high hash yielding varieties and putting them all together in a certain flavor. The shirt here too shows the original G-Mob is a GMO with banana OG, SFV, OG, and Black Dog all kind of put together. But then I did a back cross where I actually put it back onto GMO, and then I put that onto the 392 selection, which was another one from Dab Logic. That was the 8.2 yielder. So by stacking all these super high yielding, so it's the 392 with the G-Mob BC1. And then I started putting that onto a lot of the other things like hazelnut cream, which made the G-Nut, which I put in a bunch of other things.
Wow.
This one's Banana Halo Halo that has the icy banana dog, which also with the motor G-Nut, which is the hazelnut G-Mob onto the motor breath 15, which is then onto that icy banana dog. And that one even comes with another combo with Green Source Gardens, and but all selected for hash to put them together. There's all kinds of different crosses here, but if you go to alpineseed.com, I put a lot of the information up, so you can really read about the different selections and the back crossing and the selections and the combos. And
can they get the seeds there as well, or no?
Oh yes, the seeds are available there.
Because that's what people always ask me. Then the next question is like, yo, you've been talking about it for 2 hours. Like, where can I get this shit?
Yeah,
and it's the same with like your stuff, man. Like, where's a good place to go get your selections? And
if you go to freebornselections.com, then there's some links to people who have stuff when they have it. It's worth checking. Go through there. There's the links.
Is it random times you drop? You do projects?
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, it'd be easy to just like always just be putting out stuff, but it's like it's got to be something that I think is like that I can hand off to other people. I like stuff to be at a point where people can take it and do stuff with it, like have it be a little bit more of a valuable tool to like use, a little bit more worked, or something that's just real trip, like the double limes. It was an F1, but it was an F5 lime. And then that was put on the sour dub. And so the seeds are an F1, but they have that whole half of it that comes from this worked lime line that was real special. And I used 2 males in it. So people can like get things that are like far out of that'll be totally different than what anybody else might get. So that has a value. And then also something like Sky Cuddler Double Kush, where it's just like, yeah, you're going to get something right in that target. It's really good to take and use it, like pull the males out of there, because you don't have to know how to pick them very well, because it's fairly true breeding, which a lot of seed isn't, So I don't even know where I was going with it.
What you guys' thought on autoflowers?
I've seen some pretty cool ones. I loved like breeding with them. Something that I loved about them is seeing how fast they could grow when conditions are right and how slow they grow if they're wrong. If it's cold at the wrong time or too wet, they just stunt, and it stunts them out really quickly. But like if everything's right, they kind of grow at a super speed and then start flowering early. It was really cool to start seeing really nice varieties bred in and starting to see like more and more beautiful flowers. I haven't really done anything in a few years, but a few years back I was pretty excited with how well I was able to have them do on the coast too, and have them just grow themselves and be done at the right time. And there were some like nice OG crosses that had like super bubblegum qualities and great trikes. And so I did really enjoy that kind of work. And I like how you can use them for quicks too. And if you make those right selections.
We're starting to see that change.
But I haven't done much breeding with them lately. I've just kind of stuck with just my favorite things and putting them together and really going strong for either high hash qualities or just awesome flower qualities. And but yeah, I haven't done autos in a while, but I've always enjoyed growing them.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I didn't think you guys touched into that, but it's interesting where that's going. It was the same with like, I thought with CBD flowers for a while, where I was like, well, if big money stays in this, you're going to start to see people breed some interesting stuff in this.
It's
hemp
a super
varieties.
useful tool for certain types of agriculture. And yeah, definitely see the use in it. But probably some other facility would be better for doing that kind of work than the focus that I'm going to do.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. Man, this is beautiful. What is this?
That's that Sky Cuddler Double Kush. Because
Yeah.
I just mentioned it. I'm like, where was I at? I was like, oh, you were plugging your shit, fool. You're trying to fucking tell people where to get your seeds. And then I start line breeding again.
Dude, thank you, bro.
You want to know about those?
Yeah, I would love to, bro. I would love to. Again, beautiful structure on this, bro. Like something that you know is going to smoke good just based on like how soft and how beautiful.
Yeah. And it's got that like baby powder, vanilla, marshmallow, like hints and soapy, peachy, melony, kind of trippy, you know?
If you're an OG smoker, a master kush.
A lot of kush lovers really love that
100%.
one. Yeah. It's a good kush. Yeah.
That's
a
like,
legit.
it's like a sister version. It's Cherry Lime Dogs. Let's go. Cherry Lime Dog BC 112 2B10 times 2X OGZ Dog.
That's why you got to look it up.
Someone leaned on the keyboard. Tell me what this means.
BC1 F2, actually. So Cherry Lime Dog BC1 F2 is the HGAS cherry lime pop that Jackson gave me back in 2016. It was probably a 15 seed production that I put with the Black Dog, and then did a back cross on, and then a second generation. I was talking about that earlier a bit. And then the 2X OG Z Dog is actually the back cross of the Skittle. So I took the Z Dog BC1. So it's Black Dog onto Skittles, back onto Skittles, and then that put onto the JSOG, which is actually our buddy in common who had this OG clone that I used for that. Who's one of I've been growing with him since like 2000 or something back in the day when we first met. And he always had like really good varieties that he'd have around, and loved OG. And so I put JSOG on that, and it's regular SFV on there as well, and kind of put that all together and put that onto the Cherry Lime Dog selection out of that BC1 F2. And those like super tasty. It's just like kind of putting all that stuff together. Yeah, it is kind of funny to like read all of that. So
I love it.
Try to have like a simple name and just.
How much work behind this? This is like, you're talking about how many years of work to get to this line where you put this out.
I guess that would be like 2016 to now. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want people to reference
2016.
that, and I'm not trying to boast around. I just want people to understand like how much work goes into a release like something like this.
But then the Black Dog itself goes back to 2012, and then the stuff that goes into that like goes back before. The Black Dog itself is like a blackberry kush with the Cali Sour and the Lemon Larry OG, and so it's kind of like Black DOG is to make it shorter for labels and things like that too.
Dude, that's what a cross too. Wow.
Yeah, like to make you get that beauty and the faster time, but then you get that power of the OG and sour combination. And Humboldt Seed Organization would call that Emerald Headband, that combo back in the day. So that was like the shorthand for that particular male.
Dude, Motor G Nut. We got Motor Breath 15, which is one of my favorite strains because I absolutely love the OG times Chem, because a lot of times I can't find the OG that reminds me of like the Fire OG that burns your nose and just burns. It gets a lot like earthy and musty and stuff. And I'm like, I like the one that just is pure Chem. The Motor Breath always reminds me of that. It's like it's a Chem variety OG. This sounds great.
Yeah, and so that's wildly good hash material there. And it's like the last couple years I've been doing that plant. It's just like you can depend on that. You have a row filled of that. They're like soldiers for hash. They just throw down. They just throw up spears. And they're just filled. The biggest. We'll put up some of the pictures up on that. I'll send you stuff on that. Dude. But like they're just arms of spears, and the trichomes are perfect on it. And they go all the way up. It's just perfect for freezing. I mean, it's awesome flower too. But the sandy quality and the flavors that come out when you make the hash, because it's not one that's just like, oh, we're dumping off extreme mercy and lime and intense smells. It kind of holds on to the savory and the gas, and just have that inside those trichomes. When you make ice water hash with that, it's just, I got some sent from a grower out in Vermont just the other day too, and it was just so freaking good too. But we did a bunch right here this year, and it's so consistent, just all spears, incredibly mold resistant, and just so good for freezing. Like, and it dumps, like the averages are all super high. Like you can get like a 6% average from a whole like row of plants that are all siblings.
You convinced me.
Oh yeah, Alpine.
We're taking this to Washington. I go to Washington next week. We will have this in a field in Washington next year for sure.
I'll send you the pictures
with my homies and shit that I do a deal. I have a deal in Washington for Blackleaf, and it's all genetics and stuff. And they did like 6 acres last year, just their first project, where they were like, and they put a bunch of but like stuff like this where we can hunt. This sounds like right up our alley.
Yeah,
like
you don't have to hunt is the thing on those two. Like you just freeze it all. It's all delicious. It can go together. Like you don't have to hunt.
I'm so not used to that. I don't even know what that means. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean, bro?
But that combo just worked great in like the last several years. Like you just look at that road and you just know they're all Motor G Nut, and they're all going to dump, and the average is going to be nuts. And the G Nut is that hazelnut cream with the G Mob that I was just describing too, the 392 with the G Mob.
Dude,
BC1.
for hash rosin, that sounds fantastic.
And the hazelnut's got great qualities that lead on to that.
Key Lime Dog. So we got Key Lime Pie times Black Dog 2012.
Yep. Oh, you were asking about like things about the Skittles too. One thing I've always thought is like that green sherb and the Key Lime Pie and Skittles it seem very related when you grow them, when you smell them. And Jackson just did a back cross with Z, and he's like, oh, smell this. It was like an S1. It's not a back cross. He did an S1.
plant,
Sorry.
yeah.
He did an S1. And I smell it. I'm like, oh man, key lime pie. It smells a lot like it, just a little different. But, and he's like, yeah, that's the ZS1. And it's like, I've always thought it was. And that's just like more evidence to that they might be sisters. One of the things I was doing with that double OGZ dog is I already put it onto green sherb, and then I'm putting it onto key lime pie to make kind of like 3 sisters and an old dog is the idea. Like,
yeah, I mean, for everyone collecting Pokemon, it's like the evolutions of Eevee, dude.
Yeah.
It's all the same shit. Oh yeah,
that's not a good. It's not a good example of it, but you can smell the nose. It's like Skittlesy and Sherby.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's for everyone. Like this reminds me of like some of the good OZ Kush phenos I've smelled, where it's Skittles, but it has like that close mapley.
There's something warmer Skittles. And like pie, it's like
that's a great way to put it.
When it's like a better version of it, it's
no,
crazy
dude,
loud.
I can smell
but
it.
It has a good, you can tell the profile at least. But imagine turning it way up,
That's
so
cool.
what do you call
right
this,
there,
Jackson? What is this called?
It's just a Skittles S1. It's a Skittles S1 number 3. I got it from Caleb from CSI Humboldt.
And
he
so
did
this
a selfie,
is Skittles
and it's
times Skittles.
It's just Skittles.
You grew out the seeds from Caleb,
I grew out like 14
seeds,
and that was the one I liked. It's really resinous. It's harder to tell once it's trimmed, but when it's untrimmed, it almost has like that White Widow look where it's just like so resinous. Like it looks totally different than the mom, but when you smell it, when it's fresh and perfect, it's like when that's fresh, it's like, I picked some up the other day and I was like, damn, that's like crazy gassy. And then I smelled it again. I went, damn, my nose played tricks on me. It's all sweet, but it was like intense, really good though. I mean, and it's a little stronger and it's great flavor. I bred a bunch of stuff with it.
You see any gaps in the market? Something that you'd think you'd be like, yo, man, I think, man, I'm surprised someone hasn't filled this lane, or something that you just see that you're like, we're missing in cannabis. Because
Yeah.
like sometimes we lose genetics, right? We lose a lot of genetics over the years, or that terp profile is in spot. Are there gaps where you're like, man, why is there not?
The main one that I would say that people need to like slide into is weed that's really, really good and killer. Like because no one's doing it. No one's doing it. No.
Stop.
Hey,
I got roasted. That was fire.
Let me
I
finish my
leaned in.
sentence.
I was like,
let me
this.
finish my sentence. Weed that's really, really good, but that's way lower potency.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is a lot of people think they don't like weed because every time they try weed, it's hella strong. And people will be like, I only took one hit. And I'm like, yeah, but probably what you needed was one hit of weed that was a quarter as strong. You needed a quarter hit, but everybody starts with a hit. It's the same thing. Like I've explained it in terms of nicotine. People will be like, oh, if I smoke nicotine, it makes me sick. And I'm like, yeah, but that's because you're overdosed on nicotine. And they're like, yeah, but I only took one hit. And I'm like, yeah, but a tiny puff was probably the right dose for you because you've never smoked it before. Not to say smoke nicotine, but I think weed is the same thing. It's like most things have this really specific dosage. Nobody gives you, the doctor doesn't tell you, unless it's like an inhaler, the doctor doesn't go, just take a puff. It's like, no, how many milligrams? This is how many micrograms. Like medicines have a specific dosage, right? So I think like a lot of people are doing stuff with weed. I think it's one of the reasons why edibles are so popular when they're 2 and 5 milligrams and things, because everybody can like really figure it out. But with weed, you take one hit and now you're way too high and you don't want to try it again because it made you all fucking weird, right? Which people who are familiar with it are like, yeah, that's the good shit. But if you're not, and you get it, then you're going to try. You're like, oh, everybody says like weed is a better feeling than alcohol. But when I drink alcohol, I feel better. And when I drink weed, I feel like shit. Like I didn't want to feel like this. I'm in for too wild of a ride. This is too dirty of a crazy ride. But if you have weed that's like a little bit more on the mild side, where it's like some CBD, a lower THC, but still tons of resin and really great flavor. So those things are usually separated. If you want low potency, it usually means no low resin. But CBD people started kind of catching on, and then it kind of petered out to an extent, like the mixed ratios. But I think people need a lot more mixed ratios where there's tons of flavor, killer weed. But anybody, no matter how casual they are, can smoke it and have it be like, if we smoke some weed, that because we can smoke any of this shit on the table. Like I don't even smoke that much, but I try everything. And if I'm like smoking something and I can take a few hits off of it, like big hits, like choky hits, and get really fucking high, then I know it's really strong. But a lot of people want to sit down, smoke a whole joint, right? And then put the roach in the ashtray and go, yeah, I feel better. But you need lower potency for a lot of people's systems and a lot of people's tolerances and schedules. So I think a lot of like what people are missing out on is having like the super tasty, super resinous killer weed. And the reason I say it's because I have some of it. And when people like, I did a grape soda skunk. I did a grape lime skunk, which is my lime, which has a great high with the grape soda skunk. And it's like, I told people when I released the seeds, is you're not going to get that high. And so I figured, people won't want it that much, but I really love the plant and it's cool for what it's cool for. And it turned out it was really popular. And a lot of people got back to me and they're like, hey, whoever it is in my life, they don't like to smoke or I don't like to smoke. And then this one, when I smoke it, it feels like what I think of weed being like. But when you have a really high tolerance to get that feeling, you need like OG, chem, GMO, like potent shit, like there's people who will tell you like, oh, Skittles, it's not strong. It's like, if you're not a smoker, Skittles, you're going to make you be like, I don't want to fucking do that again. That was too much. Right.
Yeah.
But to a smoker, you're like, oh, light work, So I think that's like the biggest thing that everybody's missing at this point, as far as like making money, is you need to start selling to everybody's grandpa and uncle and, whoever these people are, and it's not necessarily like, I'm like older people tend to maybe like to ease up a little bit, but there's a lot of people who their introduction to weed will also be off-putting because the potency is so scary when you don't have when it's potent enough that one hit can get you really high, they're going to go, oh, well, I did the lowest available dose, and not realize like, yeah, but you needed to take a hit of something that was an eighth the potency of that. And you would have felt amazing and gone, whoa, music sounds great. Like, but instead somebody hits it and they hit they hit fucking double OG Chem from Dan the first time they've ever smoked. And they're like, dude, everything the whole world turned to death metal, dude. I thought I was Skeletor, you know?
But we had fun with that.
It's so true. That should be everyone's first joint. Just like everyone. It's like, get it out the way.
It's like you jumped in, you're eating a quarter of mushrooms.
Just do the front flip into the pool's deep end, guy.
My dad used to say that. He'd be like, how do you, man, I take one hit. How do you take less? I'm like, no, you just take one hit. And he's like, one hit's too much. And I'm like, and it's so funny you say that because I knew a grower who's a decent, grows some fire in LA. And as soon as he had a kid, he's like, I can't smoke like I used to, bro. I have full panic attacks.
One of the reasons why I smoke less.
Meltdown. You have he'll smoke CBD flower, and he's like, I still can get my smoking in and still feel a little something. And buys high-end CBD flower from some indoor grow so that he doesn't have panic attacks. But it was the first person where like, I'm smoking my joints, he's smoking his. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I've never seen it from that side. Like, yeah, interesting take.
Because your existence is different depending on what's happening, right? So like when you're all of a sudden when you're a parent, you're like, damn, everything, like it used to matter. Like you might worry like, oh, well, you don't want to disappoint. You might not want to disappoint your parents or whatever. Like you have these certain pressures or whatever. But as soon as you're a parent, you're like, no, I'm the fucking go-to here. I'm the fucking first responder. I'm the fucking caretaker. I'm the fucking manager, like whatever it is. You're the one that's super in charge of everything. So all of a sudden, if you smoke some really racy weed, it's like I've always told people, weed will make the things that don't matter that you worry about, it'll make them disappear. The things that do matter that you're worried about, they will be highlighted because what it's doing is it's aligning your brain with reality. It's like these things matter, these things don't. So it's like, oh, you were tripping on that bullshit. That didn't matter at all. Okay, it's fucking gone. You might worry about it for the first 12 minutes you're
scarier.
high. Then all of a sudden it's mellow out and be okay. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
You're responsible for the life of your child and
so all of a sudden,
that happens for the rest of time.
Yeah.
It's on you.
Yeah. It's all of a sudden like whatever is, it's like something's got to be scarier than the fucking intensity of the high or whatever to count. And then all of a sudden it's like, it still counts. Oh shit. Like I got really high one day. I smoked some A5 haze and, I hit it and I was like, cool, whatever. I'm outside and I go to get something over on this one side of my house and my son is with me, my younger son, and my older son is over around the corner. And I hear him say something about the ladder and my small son. My small son's right next to me, just like this. I know he's here. He's right here, right here. I hear it over there. And all I hear is, oh, fuck, he fell off the ladder. He's right fucking here, okay? I go over there going, what? And it turns out, oh no, he had taken a lighter and he lit the lighter and then it didn't have a guard on it because my older son had left a lighter sitting there. The younger son, who's however old he is, 10 or something at the time, he lights the lighter and he sets it down and it's like has a little flame on the corner of it. And my older son is like, the lighter, and all I hear is, oh shit, he fell off the ladder. Now, my brain should have been able to do real simple math and know he's standing right next to me where he was. I can see him in my peripheral vision. I'm almost touching him. And still my brain just goes into full fucking panic mode, PTSD, like
the speed of that too and time slowing down.
Yeah. And of course I probably thought that for 1 second, but that 1 second was like a year long because number one, you're super high and time's different, but also because it was such that reaction was, oh no. And then I was like, okay. And so, you you're probably not going to want, when you're walking around like that, you're probably not going to be wanting to hit like tons of A5 haze all day. Like, what's the weed that really gets you the highest? Like, okay, let's smoke that. Sweet, I did. And now I think my kid fell off the ladder when he's standing next to me. Yeah, you high, bro. Like, this ain't normal, you know? But yeah, it really, that shit really happens. So I can understand.
So
and
you
then,
bred grape soda skunk.
yeah, and so if I smoke, or six-toed cat. Six-toed cat.
Yeah,
We got one.
A5 times everything.
We got one. You know, I got like a younger dude that I work with on a little bit of breeding, and we got one called Six-Toed Cat, and Six-Toed Cat is grape soda skunk on cherry lime pina, and the pina I use is a CBD one. So you got this like really heavy, sleepy, mellow, myrcene dominant cherry limeade, which is just like the big warm blanket, you know, makes your forehead feel bigger, makes your eyes seem heavy, your eyebrows seem like they're fucking weighted. And then you got the grape soda skunk, which is all CBD and tons of flavor. And it's like when you smoke it, you just feel like even and good, and it's like a great introduction to weed. And it's like, hey, you want a little bit more of a thrill? Then like, oh, then try the cherry limeade, where it's all THC but it's still mellow. And then you can, you know, and it's like, I would never want to be like, oh, you want to try some grass? Here, hit this A5 haze real quick, because it's powerful, you know. So yeah, but those are those ones, and I've been working on it to be like okay, what's got the crazy flavor, but you can just kind of smoke it casually, and you're not like, oh shit, I got jury duty today, I probably shouldn't go so hard, you know. It's like, no, smoke it anyway, you're fine, you know. There's nothing, it's not going to interfere with anything. It's like performance enhancing, right?
Man, that is that's the first time I've ever heard anyone have that take, and it's such a great take, bro. I haven't, that angle of not like, no, it's not low quality weed, it's high quality weed.
I see the window, dude. It's there for people. Like, somebody needs to step in on it. And
because we think low potency, we think, oh, you fucked that batch up, and it's like, no, it's tasting like Skittles, or whatever you want, or it's tasting like OG Kush.
Yeah,
fuck, you like OG, it's tasting like OG Kush. It's just, you're not going to spin out. You can smoke it and still, like you said, have responsibilities. That's a very interesting take. For like people that want a larger capture. That's not like, oh, I want shit that's gonna, I mean, you're going to have a panic attack every time you smoke it, because that's like, we get a kick out of that, but very few people other do.
Yeah. And I mean, most people, quote unquote, normal people, meaning like the greater part of the population, they are going to be interested in cannabis, but it's, you know, like, it's just the same people who I said who think we're completely insane because we're this into stuff. They're the same people who don't want to smoke your OG. They don't want to smoke your GMO. Like, that's not the thing they're going to want. They're like, no, that's for those crazies who are super into it. That's the big wave riding. Like, hey, dude, we want a boogie board and shit. We don't want to be big wave surfers. Yeah. You know? Leave the haze back there. Leave the whatever's the most potent, you know? A lot of people are casual, and you should be able to still take part in things that are cool on a casual level. I try to tell people like my son's like, you know, playing around a little bit, playing with music. If he does it cool, whatever, you know? But I tell him, like, you don't have to be good at things. You don't have to like do things at this height. You do it because it's a thing you do, and it's fun to take part in doing it. Traditional cultures, everybody sings and dances in the village. Like, it's just a thing you do. And then there's some people who are really good and they're revered for it, but it doesn't keep the other people from dancing. But in our modern culture, if you dance, that means you're a dancer. You're good at that. It's like, fuck that. Being a good dancer isn't what it's supposed to be about. Being a good singer, being a, you know, whatever it is, like, you should be able to be a casual in anything enjoyable. And people should be like, oh shit, we're good at this, but you're a casual, but here, let us baptize you with this right here. And if you don't have something accessible for people in every world, then people are not able to get into it and figure out what it's like, you know? So it's like the perfect thing to have that mellow shit. Like, hey, you don't have to be a fucking champion weed smoker. Like, I hate to break it to everybody, but it's like not that huge of an accomplishment anyway. The learning is great, but if you're like, dude, I can do a 1 gram bong hit, I'm like, cool, man. It's not, now we're not big wave surfing, fellas, you know?
Well, where can they find each one of you, man? I have such a good time with you guys. I'm so happy you guys made the trek down, and I want to keep going. Let's talk about this real quick because we could do a 7-hour pod. I already know with both of you guys. Canadog's Gift, Canatotic 3-to-1, Black Dog's Gift, moms.
Yeah. Well, like just to start off too, actually, the thing that I was gonna say, what's missing from the market is like, well, I think the market itself is kind of a problem in a way, like, and us losing the concept of medical. Like, I think medical is what's missing from the market. We had actually a pretty cool thing with 215 because there was a community of people communicating, coming in. You could smell the things yourself, like the level of production and having so many people do it, and actually the community itself be the thing that's regulating quality, that's communicating information, to have the freshest herb. And I just encourage everyone to outgrow that in their own way. Like, I don't know if your dad can grow his 6 plants in the backyard or something, but I'd love for him to grow that Canadog's Gift. The moms is my mom hasn't grown weed my whole life, but she was definitely around that kind of, she was out in a commune, the land, and really cool person who's like connected with so many different people. We grew up on Joan Baez's, where she used to live, and just a very amazing community and everything. But she hasn't grown as long as I've been alive at all. And I brought a whole bunch of I started a bunch of seed plants and brought a bunch of plants down to grow in the veggie garden. And so she had her her few plants all growing in this veggie garden. They were so pretty. And it took a while picking some of the males and stuff too. And I was actually set up to do some pollination, but my males were just a little behind where I wanted them. And I went down to my mom's to go make sure everything was sexed and everything was planted and everything at that garden. And she had these gorgeous males that just had exactly what I was looking for the Black Dog's Gift. That's a Bubba's Gift Black Dog BC1. So I took Black Dog, put it onto Bubba's Gift, and put it back onto the Black Dog 2012. And then that onto Black Dog again. And that one became the Black Dog's Gift. And so my mom was growing that beautiful plant, and I loved smoking the herb that came from that garden. No anxiety, but super strong, perfect effect, super grounding. But that male was just so beautiful. I brought a few up. I just stuck them in the back of the car, which is I'm in a little car with just all these plants just all up against the roof, and there's just a bunch of males. It would have been hilarious to be explaining that one, which I would have had fun doing too. But I would talk circles about all the things that are going on there.
You can't smoke these, I promise.
I brought it home, which is on the coast, and it's 99% humidity all the time. And these were incredibly resistant males. They just had the shape, and then the way that flowered was just so full. And it was just wow, it's like a gift from my mom, and the timing was better. So I ended up using it for a pollination that I thought I had set up, but it ended up being oh, this is the one. And sometimes the universe just gives you those gifts where they're oh, you thought you were behind, but here is something even better that male worked really good and everything. So I put that onto the 3-to-1 Canatonic, which comes from the work with Ringo. That one is not a terpenoline CBD too. So it had there's some of the orange and cushy and apple blossom kind of smells in that one. It's a bit more early too, really chunky, wonderful euphoric kind of aromas. I think it'll probably produce some ossamine type things in there too, which gives a really nice smell. That comes out of the cherry lime dog sometimes too. You'll get some of those from certain selections. And that one's just a great one to find. Something that tastes really cushy, delicious, has all these floral and candy and cushy, thick qualities, but also, and some of the orangey things too. And, but also has, CBD and a bit more of a kind of a grounding type effect. So
I bet if you're holding a bunch of these, people wouldn't even know that this isn't a marker. Just fucking clever, bro.
Everyone's oh yeah, I took the seeds out and gave it to my kids because they decided it was theirs. And
so clever, dude. I'm looking at it and I'm going, the average person, I'd be walking around with this, they had no clue.
No, how would you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how the seed thing itself becomes the marker on it too. It looks like
It's like painting a picture,
Yeah.
bro. There's the tip of the pen. That's epic, man. I could sit here all day with you guys, but I want to get into some off the mic where we smoke a few of these phenos, we relax a little bit, and we'll talk a few genetics. If you guys want to get on fsotd.com, get on now, because that's where we do all the off the mic. We kick it. We do a little relaxation that's off of the main camera and off of YouTube and all that. But man, it's been my pleasure to have you guys on, all three of you, man. It was a blast. I could do this 7-hour pod. I already know with you guys. I swear to God, we've done like 4 hours.
No
three.
way.
Yeah, we did like
Holy shit.
over 3 hours right
Cool.
now.
Yeah.
So I knew that because I'm like looking, I'm like, it's getting dark outside. But like, that's what I know with this. And that's why when we have good conversations and good weed, and it's about passion. It's about, you guys' journey. And us finally being able to highlight it, man. I appreciate you guys coming down.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah. You're good at this, I
just want to, I'm a fan, bro. I'm a fan of the industry, and I'm a fan of the people in it and the players, right? It's like playing baseball, and then I'm like, oh man, that guy's the best at that. Hey man, see that guy out there, man. And so I feel like that on the field with everyone. And I always felt like that even way back when I was in Florida. Like, do you think our weed's as good as their weed? Do you think it's the same? We're over there trying to, but it's the same thing now for me, is that I'm a fan of you guys' work. So to be able to sit down and finally get together and geek out over your journey and your work, and then to think that I could have any impact and be like, hey man, here's a way where you guys can now grow some of what they have done in their journey. Because so many growers ask me like, oh, of all the people you've sat down with, what's the best hash? All these questions about, and it all boils down to genetics. I could sit down with a rapper. It's genetics we're talking. I mean, I could sit down with a hash maker, it's genetics. I can sit down with a grower, it's genetics. I can sit down with like the biggest farm and they're trying to, oh, you're talking genetics. No matter what it doesn't matter. We always end up talking about genetics. And so I think it's important to highlight the people behind the genetics.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah.
First smoke, man. Dude, we're out. Peace.
hell yeah.
First Smoke family, if you want more video, unreleased content, stuff we can't put on YouTube, you want early drops, weeks and weeks in advance, fsotd.com gets you all that. You become part of the family, you get hooked up with early content, you get unreleased content we can't put out on YouTube because we get age restricted and we get strikes, the whole deal. fsotd.com gets you hooked up like family. But if you just want to keep watching, here we go. Let's let another one roll.